Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on March the 14th, 2017. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, the master of mind games.
Caffeine Rage.
And a special third wheel this week.
Go Shark. And I have no fancy stuff.
That's why you're the third wheel. On today's show, we will of course be discussing the games that we've played. We'll have our weekly community corner. Jim this week gets a Fonzie prompting us to talk about VR.
Hey!
And we'll have our weekly discovery queue. Hi guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm really glad that Fonzie has stuck. Like, that was great. I'm so happy that we have that.
Yeah, we have so many end jokes. It's going to be the podcast is just going to be completely incomprehensible to anyone that's just started listening.
That's good. That's good. That means that they'll have to go back and listen to all, at this point, roughly 60 previous episodes, and then go
which
forward.
is over a week's worth of content. And I'm pretty sure you never imported all the previous episodes to the new feed.
No, I never did. It's on my list of things to do this week. With my new job and everything last week, they just keep throwing paperwork at me. I found out that these guys, they get all of their funding through the state and federal government, so that's why there's so many goddamn forms to fill out.
Don't worry. With the way things have been going, that's not going to last too much longer.
You're kind of joking, but I actually sat down and really was worried about that the other day.
Actually, really wasn't choking on that.
Oh, okay. The way you said it sounded kind of like a little bit of a joke.
Well, I was being more kind of sarcastic on that, but not really joking.
I gotcha. Yeah, we'll see how this whole, and I'm making finger quotes, wasteful spending check goes, and how many departments they gut.
Well, hopefully they gut all the cameras and the microwaves,
Yeah. Get rid of all of those. And bring on Inspector Gadget.
Oh.
God, Kellyanne Conway is somewhere between, like, a genius and a dumbass. Like, she goes back and forth between the two. Because she's incredibly good at manipulating conversations, but sometimes she just fucks it up.
Sometimes?
And it's spectacularly stupid.
Oh,
I mean,
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, also, I can't look at Sean Spencer's press conferences now and not see Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
I can't.
Yes. I love how that, like, The Late Show and The Tonight Show and all of that are now refer to Sean Spicer as...
Spicy.
as Spicy, yeah. And what's the... I'm drawing a blank on the actress's name that did it on SNL.
Just Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, some of them now refer directly
McCarthy.
to Sean Spicer just as Melissa McCarthy. And I find that hilarious.
Jenny McCarthy, the
I'm
one
sure
that hates vaccines, that's right.
Yeah. I'm sure he hates it, but I love it, so fuck him.
Actually, he made a reference to going SNL on a reporter.
Wow.
Maybe he secretly adores it.
Well, he's in the limelight. Of course he's going to love it.
I would hate being in the limelight.
I would hate having to deal with that administration.
Yeah, I would have resigned a long time ago. Just because I don't want to have to commit suicide from all the stress. And mental gymnastics. I'm afraid my brain would wear out and I'd just kill over. Welcome to the Video Game Logic Podcast, where we occasionally talk about video games.
And also steal the taglines from other podcasts.
Why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just steal it. I'm like one of those bad hombres. Oh, I couldn't resist one more jab. Okay, well, let's go talk about the games that we played. As always, we will allow our third wheel to go first.
Yay!
Wouldn't it be a first wheel then?
I'm the
Yeah.
I am the first thing in the tripod, the first wheel of the
Oh, my.
tricycle.
That's what I was about to say. He's the first wheel on the tricycle.
All right. Speaking
Well, pedaling
of
right
wheels, my first game of the week was Motorsport Manager.
Yes, I've actually been interested in this game for a while.
So have
My
I.
favorite mode of the more recent Gran Turismos is the B-Spec mode, which lets you just manage your racing team and your cars.
Mhm.
So,
Uh,
tell me about it.
It is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. That's going to sound negative, but I just kind of thought it was going to be one of these kind of mindless games where you just do whatever, it gets repetitive. It's actually not. You really have to put a lot of effort into figuring out where you want your finances to go, how like contracts you get for sponsors and that kind of stuff. Tweaking your crew and your drivers and stuff. So, and then the aspect of once you actually are in the race, you have to kind of send commands to your drivers, whether to save tires, tire wear, gun it, all that kind of stuff. When to pit, when not to, that kind of stuff. So, it's definitely challenging. But
I love the idea of these manager games. I just don't know the sports well enough to be able to play them. And that's where most of these management style games are in the various sports subgenres.
I've always been big into racing, and I like
I have too.
the management aspect of that kind of stuff. So,
Is it Formula One only, or are there other car classes?
So, if you get they do have a DLC that you can buy for GT cars.
GT cars are my favorite.
I bought
Formula
it.
One's kind of boring, in my opinion.
I bought it.
Oh no!
and I
When they
haven't really
crash,
messed around too much.
there's all the fun bits that fly off.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I really do like it. I just put in a mod for it, which changes the zoom rate, because stock. That's one of my big complaints about it. Stock, it was still like really much kind of a top-down thing, where you really couldn't get a good view of anything at all. But I downloaded a little mod that allows you to really like get down like track level. So we'll see how that plays out. I'll probably enjoy it a little more. Or I might puke by having all the stuff flying around super fast.
Did you say that you downloaded the DLC?
Yeah.
The GT cars?
Yeah, and
What cars are in it?
I believe they're the ones that go vroom.
They are. I'm not sure which kind of car they are. I think they are just kind of like a generic GT car.
That's lame.
But there's workshop support, and they've got some pretty cool mods, models and stuff. So I'm just looking at the workshop right now, and I downloaded. There's 10 GT3 cars, and it's Mercedes-Benz, T1, Mercedes-Benz SLS. There's an Audi R8, McLaren MP4, Bentley Continental, BMW Z4.
Continental GT car.
Yeah,
It looks
Continental
like a
GT3.
boat, I'm
yeah.
sure.
It's let's see if I get that picture here. Not really. It looks kind of Porsche-ish if they're following the line, the numbers here. Like Team 1, Team 2, Team 3. Looking at picture number 4, it's actually kind of reminiscent of, what does that look like? It looks kind of McLaren-ish, which leads me to believe maybe the numbering is off. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, I haven't gotten to look at the new models yet, just because I haven't gotten back into the game yet with it. I take that back. I have played the game since I downloaded the models, but the game works well in 2D mode on my laptop. And when the kid is over and I'm up at night taking care of him, I'll load up Motorsport Manager, just run like a practice, or run all the off-week stuff up to races. while I'm waiting for him to go back to sleep. So
Right.
and that on the 2D mode is just you see the static map and you have the little dots showing what where your cars are on the map, and you just watch the dots go around the track. The big computer can actually handle 3D mode, so you can actually see models flying around and potentially crashing and stuff. So, but
I'll
yeah,
probably pick this up.
I recommend it. If you're into the managing type games, this definitely has. It's firing on all cylinders. Get it?
Wow.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. It's something that I will definitely be able to keep my attention for a while. So it's not one of these things where I buy and just be like, oh well, that's dumb. Never mind.
Yeah, it looks good. There's another one of these games on Steam that I got several years ago. At this point, or at least a couple years ago, as like a review beta thing, and it was not very good. And this is reminiscent of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing a blank on the name. I could go look it up, but it's really not worth anybody's time, so I'm not going to. But so I kind of was like, well, eventually I'd like to talk to somebody about this game, and I've seen you playing it, so I've been meaning to ask you about it, and so it's convenient that you're wanted to come on the podcast tonight.
Happy to oblige.
So yeah, I'll probably pick it up next time it's on sale.
Yep. So,
'Kay.
Number two? Game number 2 is 911 Operator.
And this is one that I've been a bit interested in, just from really kind of the art style, but also the idea that this, once again, is kind of this is a management game, but one that I could more sink my teeth into.
Yeah. So, have any of you played the old Emergency games?
No.
So there's like the strategy game of like rescue operations and stuff like that.
No, but I do know
no.
that this genre is starting to make a resurgence. There's
Yeah.
an early access game that's very similar to this, only it's centered around New York City.
Yeah. Well, this
I
has
have to go hunt for that real quick while you chatter away.
Yeah, this has kind of the makings of that, along with being more of a rapid reaction type game, where you'll get the 911 calls, or you'll just see something pop up on the board, and you have to react to it and send units out to it. But where Motorsport Manager is not the repetitive game that I thought it was going to be,
Yeah,
911
this really
definitely
looks like it.
has gotten repetitive, but it still is one of those kind of mindless games you can just load up a map and play a day or two and be like, okay, well, cool, I'm done now. I'll hang it up till tomorrow. But because like the 911 calls start to get very repetitive, but where they kind of change it up is like you're in different spots on the map. And there are times, like, as you progress through the cities, like, call-ups and the issues on the map kind of come quicker. So you have to kind of balance maintaining enough people that you have right now and constantly building up your supply of vehicles and personnel.
Yeah, this looks a lot like... We Are the Police, gameplay-wise. Granted, We Are the Police had a visual novel-esque segment to it as well. But this reminds me a lot of the management side of that game.
Yeah,
which I never did go back and look at, or look further into it. Granted, I have seen some people complain about the ending of that game, but I didn't look too much of those reviews.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get spoiled.
It's, I kind of like it, though, because like I said, it's one of those time-wasting games where you can just veg out for a half hour or so to play a couple days worth of it. The UI is a little on the clunky side, but for kind of a smaller company, I'd expect that. But the strategy of it, like, definitely having to have enough people, because, like, for instance, the other day I was playing and I had all of my units tasked out, and I had a 911 call of like an emergency car crash with injuries. And I'm like, well, the only two firefighters that are close to, firefighters and ambulances that are close to even being done with whatever they're doing are on the other side of town. So it's just kind of a hairy situation of like, all right, well, now I gotta wait for somebody to get done, and as soon as they're done, immediately go over here. So, little bit of excitement with that kind of stuff, but it's I don't know, it's an interesting little time waster.
Yeah, I'm not finding the game that I was thinking of. I know it's in early access, and it was very, very basic, to the point that the city wasn't even fully modeled yet. It was all placeholder blocks.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say about it, unless somebody else has got questions about it, is they have a really good way of putting. I don't know exactly how they do it, but you can pretty much use any city.
I was looking at that. They import via a online map service.
Yeah, it's like an online map service, and it'll actually give you
all based on population. So if this the map service, if the city is above a certain population, they have a more detailed map, and they're able to use that data to import into the game.
Yeah, I've been playing the freeform mode for St. Louis a lot, since that's my hometown. And I will say that there is an awful lot of domestic disturbance calls in places where there's like it's industrial area on in real life.
That's the thing, is that
so
they're
whatever.
just bringing in the roads. They're not looking at how the city is constructed, because
which that's
if they
fine.
If they had it where it was looking at how the residential areas were, I think it would be a lot deeper of a game. But the thing is that also it would be a lot more expensive of a game. And
exactly.
This sort of genre, this is very niche. The management genre is already a very niche area.
Yeah.
The biggest things you see are the city builders or the base builders, something like RimWorld or City Skylines.
Yeah.
Or
Actually,
SimCity, that sort of thing.
I lied. There are two more quick little deals about it. One is some of the call-ups that you get, it kind of gets you in the feels. Like there's some call-ups where, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's definitely situations where it's like, oh crap, there's kids involved. Boy, I hope somebody survives, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say is the system for combat is really jinky. Like, times when you think, oh, well, the police are going to just show up. Like, I had a call the other day, it was, what was it? It was, like, graffiti. And I said it was possible, like, 2 to 3 suspects. And I just sent a car with 2 people, 2 police officers, thinking, it's not a big deal. They'll just be done with it here pretty soon. No, they start getting shot at. So I have to call for backup and have, like, extra cars show up, and then somebody got hurt, so then I had to call an ambulance to the location, and it just turned into a big hassle. Meanwhile, I had a kidnapping on the other side of town that there were no police available because they're all tied up trying to shoot it out with these graffiti artists. It's like, whatever.
I mean, this does sound a lot like the management side of We Are the Police.
Yeah.
Granted, We Are the Police, it was very scripted on what you get. So if you replay the game, you start seeing the same calls over and over again.
Yeah, and
the game is built around more the corruption, not the day-to-day operation. So it forces you more to make questionable choices to meet your end goal.
Yeah. No questionable stuff here. It's just direct everybody to save as many lives as you can. So
is this supposed to be based off of real world?
I think the calls are meant to,
Some of them are, yeah.
sound like it, but
well, I'm not talking about the calls. I'm talking about like the actual what you see. So my father-in-law is the director of IT for Weld County, their emergency services. So every time I go visit, I go out there and hang out with him in the call center for a little while, and we talk to like the operators and stuff. And a lot of this actually looks like what the actual call center looks like.
I mean,
So I'm just wondering if
it's
they
overly
based it off of real
simplified.
technology or...
It's pretty simplified. I've been into some call centers too. I mean, you don't have like as much of a graphical window in most of the places I've seen. It's more of just you have, your call screen. You have like the little window that you type in the information. I guess it all depends on the location, because I know St. Louis has it's a county. They have a county-wide system where like pretty much all the departments in St. Louis County buy in it. See, now we're talking shop that I know, because that's my whole law enforcement been. But they have a lot of, pretty much every car in St. Louis County has a computer in it, and they're all tacked into this system that works with the 911 system, that you get the actual call-up files and stuff in the car as you're responding to the calls, over the radio. So it's all some big, crazy, interlinked system that, you'll get the call on the radio, and as you're going, you can check what, you say, your call sign 2011 is en route, and the dispatcher will task car 2011 with whatever call they just tasked up, and you can look it up on your computer as you're en route to the location type thing. So in that aspect, yeah, it's kind of similar. You're having, you're passing information down to the guy out in the street. So
Yeah. Well, just looking at like... Okay, my laptop over there is restarting. Just
fucking Windows.
Just looking at like the one screenshot that they have that just shows like the call center environment. I mean, it's not it doesn't look exactly like the call center I've seen, but the desks with massive amounts of monitors on them, and the Weld County call center. It's the main one for the area, so all 911 calls for a ridiculously large area go through that center.
Yeah.
And they do have a giant screen on one wall that has lots of information scrolling across the screen all the time, and like a readout of different police vehicles and stuff.
I see which picture you're talking about. Like the first picture on the page, not
Yeah.
after all the videos. Yeah, that's like the intro splash screen. That's the title screen.
So that's not what the game actually
No,
looks like.
all
the
the
entire
other
game is,
other
okay.
stuff is actually, all the other pictures are actual gameplay.
Well, that's a little less cool.
I mean, yeah,
I
it's like I said, it's a pretty simplified interface, but the fact that you can bring in other cities, and it's got some decent management aspects to it, and it's not a grand game and by any stretch of the means, but it's just a fun little time waster.
Right. Okay, cool.
So, yep, I spent a little more time on it than I thought I was going to. Let's see, where's my other...
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, no shit. So let's see, game number 3 is Slime Ranchers.
Yep.
And that is one that I haven't played a whole lot of myself. I put about 5-10 minutes in the game, maybe a little more than that, just to get the idea of it. But I let my stepdaughter play it for several hours the other day, and she's absolutely in love with it. My 2 oldest stepkids, I have the 2 stepkids, and I have Baby Shark. Yes, we coined that the other day. So, the JB and Lexi, they both like to watch YouTube videos, and mostly it's Minecraft and whatever YouTube bait of the week type stuff, but generally it's Minecraft. Lexi's starting to watch.
Well, I would say
Slime
send her to
Ranchers
my
and stuff.
channel, but I don't think you would appreciate that.
No, and I have to kind of like watch a little bit. They've gotten better at who they watch, but I've had to kind of steer them away from certain people.
Oh, the PewDiePie?
They watch a little bit of PewDiePie now and then, but
I think I would
like-
put a gun in my mouth.
The kicker was Jacksepticeye.
I can't stand Jacksepticeye.
I'm not a big fan of him either, and there's a reason why the kids now watch YouTube with headphones on whenever they're around, because JB was watching a Jacksepticeye video one day, this is a while back, and he was dropping F-bombs left and right, and the parents heard it, and I was like, okay, this has got to stop. But, no, so Lexi's...
Welcome to the parenting portion of the podcast.
Yeah. Lexi's been watching some Slime Rancher videos
with
lately.
Uncle Rage in the background.
And I picked it up a little bit ago, and I was like, let's check it out. I'll get around to having some time in it too, because it looks kind of fun and cute. But she was just loving running around collecting all these slimes and trying not to get lost and failing at that. And
it looks like an interesting game. It's just I'm not sure if there's legs on it.
It's got legs if you are kind of a min-maxer kind of thing about it, because so you have your ranch and you have all these areas for fences and pens and stuff, and you can bring slimes back to your ranch and put them in these pens and just collect their poop. Basically, that's what it is. Whenever you feed them, they pop out plorts, and the plorts are basically poop.
Plorts.
Yes, it's called plorts.
Oh, that's amazing.
But you get what you feed them, whatever diet they like, and then they pop out the plorts, and you can take the plorts and you can collect them and sell them, or you can get kind of advanced level and feed plorts to other small slimes, and then they turn into a jumbo hybrid slime. They have the characteristics of both of their parents. So, for instance, there's like a pink slime, which is just the base, the first ones you find. There's nothing fancy about them. They just bounce around and look all cute. If you get one of the rock slimes, which tend to like start spinning and charge at you and hit you for damage, if you feed the pink slime a rock plort, they turn into a jumbo rock plort. But the trick is, if you feed them a plort, or if they end up eating a plort from another species that is not one of their parents, they turn into this weird black glowy slime that just runs around and starts eating everything. And you have to kill the black slimes. Yes, it's racist.
That's really racist.
Kill the black slimes.
But so basically, if you have, it's kind of interesting watching just the layout and how it works. But if you have when you go out into the wild, they'll have randomly generated not plorts, but you have randomly generated slimes showing up, and then there's abundant food sources all around. There's fruits, and they don't call them chickens; they're called hens. But there's little fat chickens that run around, and some of the slimes are omnivores or carnivores, and some of them are just herbivores. And you got all this food around. As soon as they eat the food, they'll drop out a plort, and then another critter will come up and eat that plort and turn into a big thing. So usually, if there's just two different species in the one area, it's not too bad. You'll just end up having this big old supply of Mondo slimes running around.
Okay, so if I'm understanding, the slimes eat other slime shit, so they're all dogs. Got it.
Basically, yes. But if
big bouncy cute dogs.
If you end up getting a third type of slime into the area, and they start eating stuff and dropping their plorts, the jumbos eat that stuff and turn into something crazy, and then you just, it's this cascade of evil bad slimes that you have to chase off and kill, otherwise they just eat everything.
So what you're saying is that if there's too much plort, you wind up in deep plort. Yes,
exactly. But it's been fun watching her play it. She was having a blast. Even though I had to do my best to just not micromanage her from across the shoulder. It's just look, get all that stuff, go back, get money. I want to go here. Oh, okay, But she was having fun with it.
They're so dumb. Don't understand how to do things properly.
Hey, she was enjoying it, so I just let her go. And eventually, I turn around and look, and she's up at like 4,000 gold. I was like, "How did you get all that?" She's like, "I just worked." I'm like, "All right, well, whatever." Somehow or another, she made it happen. So
good girl.
It was cool. It's a neat little game. I definitely want to get some time in with myself, on my own on it. So
I'm glad it's kid friendly.
Yeah.
I could have done my homework on this game, but I'm incredibly lazy. But
No.
I thought it would be a cute game that I could play and King could watch, but I was like, well, I wonder if it actually is kid friendly, or if it's like one of those games that looks kid friendly and then suddenly penises.
Let's put it this way.
No, giant boobs.
If there is something like that in there, I haven't found it yet.
Okay.
But also, from watching the YouTube videos I've seen her watching, I haven't seen anything from that either. Some of it's kind of like advanced level stuff that they were doing, so it's just ranching with slimes. I mean, you
hence the name Slime Rancher.
It's slime.
In the name.
Slime
Amazing.
husbandry.
I like that, slime husbandry. Okay.
So, but that's it on that one. Let's see. Game number 4, which should be no surprise to anybody, is Minecraft. We have the server up and running, and it's in full tilt. There's a lot of people on it now, and it's quite fun. Everybody's kind of got their own little projects they're working on, and I'm no exception. I have taken to building what should be, let's see, what is the base? The base is 60 by 60, and the tower, when I finally get done with it, is going to be upwards of like 95 blocks tall. So, trying to get the resources together to start building that and clearing the land has been my priority for the last few days, and along with whatever random side project I want to do, like I just spent 2 hours trying to find a donkey today.
Yes, and you informed me that you were bringing your ass home.
Yes.
Earlier.
It was hard work bringing my ass back home.
Well, it's good to see that you could haul ass.
So, okay, the only reason I really wanted this so badly was because I wanted to be able to have something that actually could transport materials on top of whatever's in my inventory. And I would rather have a mule, but in order to have a mule, you gotta have a donkey to breed with a horse. So, somebody had to go do all the hard legwork of finding a donkey to breed. So, there you go.
Now the only thing is to come to fuck.
So you hunted some ass today.
I did hunt some ass.
You went to hunt some ass for your horse.
Exactly. We're gonna see if Mr. Bones can get his bone. Never mind. Never mind.
Is
if he
Mr.
could bury
Bones
that
hung
bone?
like a horse?
Well, actually, I don't think Mr. Bones is hung at all because he's all skeleton. So I don't know if he has that part. I'll get my other horse to do the deed.
Well, have you been inspecting Mr. Bones?
I haven't really looked in that area of his body.
You don't know. Maybe he's got a zombie cock.
Well, first of all, Mr. Bones,
I don't know
are
what
you
to say
assigning
about
him
that.
a gender?
It prefers he pronouns.
The skeletal horse prefers he pronouns.
Yes.
Excellent. Good to know.
So yeah, I mean, we've got about 5 regulars right now on the server. So anybody is welcome to join. I'm saying this on the podcast with who knows how big of a listener base, and I may end up having to expand the server.
7.
But we'll see.
7 listeners.
What's that?
It says it's 7 listeners.
7 listeners.
It's not true. It's more than that.
Yeah, it's 8. Remember,
I
we
should-
got someone new this week.
Yeah. I should come play some. I'm not the biggest Minecraft
should.
player anymore. I used to be
Well,
hardcore a few years ago in undergrad because it's like that's the only game my shitty laptop would run.
the thing about it is it's the old. It was the old world that we were playing on Kyle's laptop.
Yeah.
So, on a whim, he checked to see if he could pull all the files off of it, and he was able to get it off. So I was setting up the server. He sent me all the files, and I uploaded on. And It just
nice.
continued right on. So
so that means my giant hole is there.
Your giant hole is there. Your
Awesome.
your little underground village,
underground
hovel is there. So
there wasn't much in that house. It was just a place I could go where when the enemies spawned, I could go hide. Because I made the hole big enough that enemies started spawning underground.
Whoops.
Actually, you know what? Okay, you're gonna have to come in and show me where that's at, because I've been wanting to try and build a slime generator, because that is something we are woefully missing, is slime. Because people are wanting to get leads and pistons and all kinds of stuff made up for redstone. And when I
It's down the main mine shaft.
When I say people, I say mainly me. But still, it wouldn't be bad to have a slime generator to... Because we're trying to get the campus set up so that it has like all of the needs that we would need. Yeah, it produces everything we would need. So
I'll log on this weekend.
Okay.
At some point, I got plenty of stuff going on this week, but this weekend I'll log on and.
Well, you also have another trip that you're way overdue on doing. Space Monkey.
Yeah, I just didn't want to do it this weekend. I downloaded it and I was like, I don't want to play No Man's Sky this week. I don't want to. I'm too busy playing Halo
Good
Wars.
games.
Yeah, I'm too busy playing literally anything else.
Yeah, which this
I've got
would be
another
a good transition to more games, but someone else has other games.
I've got
Yeah, you
one
have
more,
one more.
and I will make it fairly quick. My last game is Blood Bowl 2, because some people that I know in other circles started up a league, and I have managed to get one game out of it so far.
I really like Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is, I can't say my favorite sports game, because technically Rocket League is a sports game as well.
Yeah.
But it is really up there. Mainly because it could also be Murder Ball.
I was trying to turn my game into Murder Ball, and apparently it wasn't working.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Blood Bowl, well, this is Blood Bowl 2, but I played the original Blood Bowl on the PC version, I should say. Blood Bowl originates as a tabletop game. It's essentially rugby mixed with the Warcraft universe. Warhammer, sorry.
Yeah.
They kind of all mix the same. Sorry, Warhammer.
Warcraft isn't as violent and bloody, usually. And
kind of non-existent outside of World of.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I really want another Warcraft game.
Yeah, so the Blood Bowl game is starting to come back out again for tabletop, like real life tabletop, and I've been resisting the urge to buy it so far. I figure I'll start playing in this league to kind of get my Blood Bowl fix, because I can't afford another hobby. You know, I already have one other miniatures game that I'm still trying to finish putting some stuff together and painting and stuff. I can't have another one that requires the exact same setup and startup time. So, but I played one game. I got my butt kicked so far in the league, and it wasn't hard. It was hardly fair.
Yeah. Blood Bowl, there's a lot of nuance to the game. It's one of those games that you look at and think, oh, well, this is just a dice throwing game. It looks very simple, but there's a very, I won't say a set order of operations, but there's an order of operations that you really should follow, not to the T, but as more of a guideline for how you play.
Yep. And
also, individual teams play very, very differently. All the different teams are based on the different races. So you were playing Undead versus Skaven, you said pre-recording, right?
Yep. The Necromancer.
The Skaven, if I recall correctly, are very, very tough with some little guys that can run around.
Yeah, the lion guys are pretty brutal and tough.
They're pretty tanky, and at least in Blood Bowl 1, I'm not sure if Blood Bowl 2 has.
It's about the same,
Their primary guy, their biggest, toughest guy, has a chance to not do as he's told.
That one I don't know, because I haven't actually played
I can't remember I can't remember if it's that's the thing, is that they don't have to use that guy. I can't remember if that race in particular has the same thing, but the race I usually prefer playing, the Lizardmen, their biggest guy has a trait that makes it so that there's a chance on a dice roll that he'll just stand there and look dumb. But on the flip side of things is he is also very, very tough and very strong. So when he does what he's told, he knocks the ever-living hell out of people.
Yeah, I have. That's like that with the necromancy on my big bruiser guy, which his name is Tetanus. So here's the league I'm in. Everybody kind of picks weird names and stuff. One of the guys picked because it's from another podcast I listen to. One of the guys picked I can't remember what his team name is, but like all the characters are like knockoff names of everybody that's been on the podcast or other things like that. So my team name is called the Constant Death Cabal, or CDC for short. And every name that is the guys on my team is a disease name. So I have tetanus and typhoid, I think, as my two big bruisers. The blitzers, who are wolves, one of them is rabies. And I can't remember what the other one was. I think gonorrhea. I don't know. But I've got
excellent.
I've got cryptosporidosis. I've got influenza.
You may want to go see a doctor.
I had syphilis, but the Skaven game that I played, somebody killed syphilis. So
that's good. I'm glad you got cured of your syphilis.
Oh no, that was the other way around. It was gonorrhea that got killed. So,
I'm glad you got rid of your gonorrhea.
I got rid of gonorrhea. Yes. You know what? I have to look this up now and make sure, out of my own curiosity. I'll keep chatting as I look this up because I'm trying to remember.
I'm really tempted to buy this on Amazon right now. Blood Bowl 2 for Xbox One is only $15. Really tempted to buy that. Because then I could sit on my couch. I know Katie would like to play this game with me.
It was pneumonia that got killed.
Nah, pneumonia's not that bad.
Yeah. So I still have
the only
gonorrhea
thing that
syphilis.
really keeps me from wanting to get Blood Bowl 2 is the fact that they are just going nuts with the DLC on it.
Wait, what do you mean?
Blood Bowl 2...
I have everything.
You must have gotten the team pack then, because I'm looking at it on Steam, and there's about 8 or 9 teams that are DLC teams only.
Maybe I picked up maybe there's like a special edition that I picked up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like the Chaos Dwarves, the Nurgle, Necromantic team is a DLC.
Yeah, I did.
The Undead, the Norse, the Lizardmen. That's why.
Yeah, I don't.
That's why I wasn't really hip on picking up Blood Bowl 2. It's just that they were going absolutely nuts with the DLC. Let's put it this way: right now, there's $55 worth of DLC on Steam.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, it's the same thing that they do on tabletop. I mean, it's
true.
Yeah,
and you don't have to have the DLC in order to play against other teams. But
yeah, I mean, you buy the base game.
For example, I liked playing the Lizardmen. They're a slow team to start off with, but if you could get a team that survives a few matches, then you could start getting some really, really interesting plays going on. But that's a $7 DLC.
What is the Khemri? Who are these guys?
Does this have local multiplayer?
I would imagine.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. At least I'm pretty sure the first game did.
I know it's got. I mean,
looks like this. Looks like the Khemri are a version of the Undead.
Yeah, that's what I see. Yeah, I know. Like with the edition that's out now, like in game stores and stuff. You know, the Blood Bowl game itself, it comes with humans and orcs, and then all the other teams are just like little add-ons you can buy. Wait a minute. Legendary Edition is coming soon.
I gotta buy this game soon. I've been intending to buy Blood Bowl and Blood Bowl 2 for a long time, and it always just kind of slips past on sale time, but I should totally buy it.
So...
it'll be on sale again for the summer sale, so it's probably when I pick it up.
Oh, wow. There's an expansion coming soon for Blood Bowl 2. That they're going to have the whole content of the official expansion, 8 new races, Amazons, Goblins, Vampires, Ogres, Halflings, Pro-Elves, Underworld, and Kislev. For a total of 24 races.
Alright, so they're doing the old edition, or the old versions, I guess, because that sounds like they're including all the DLC in the Legendary Edition.
Yeah.
And that's what they did with the first Blood Bowl was, they have 3 different versions of the first Blood Bowl, where each edition had more races than the last, but they were all compatible with one another. So if that's the case, then I may pick up the Legendary Edition.
Yep, just wait for it to come out, and
I'll probably pick that up too.
Probably go on sale.
and we'll get a league going.
Yes, can't wait for that.
Because it's a fun game. It's pretty cool. You're right. There is definitely some good strategy to it.
Yeah, and a lot of it is a lot of Blood Bowl is mitigating your risk, leaving all the very risky plays till the very end of your turn.
Yeah, because that's what screwed me over. Is I was looking at it. My first game,
you were looking at it as a sports game where you had to get control of the ball.
Well, yeah, I'm going from. And
honestly, control of the ball is not as strange as this sounds. Not as big a deal as protecting the ball.
Yeah. Well, the first couple rounds I was playing, I basically was going from left to right across the screen, and okay, this guy moves, this guy moves, this guy moves, and then this guy moves. Oh, he just got knocked out, and I just lost my round, and I didn't even get to the guy that had the ball. So then the little Skaven speed freak comes around, clocks the guy with the ball, and causes a turnover. So. But then, I realized that I couldn't just keep going, left to right across the screen. I had to pick and choose who I wanted to, and then I did a stupid risky move, first play, and got a turnover when I moved 2 guys out of 8. So I'm getting
Blood Bowl 2 on Amazon. Oh, I had $25 in my gift card balance, and the Xbox One version's on sale for $15 right now. So I know I can't play with you, but I have this version to play with Katie, and then I'll buy the Legendary Edition on Steam during the whenever it comes out.
Okay.
Of the first game, because there's not a Legendary Edition yet. A Blood Bowl 2.
He said when it comes out. Yeah.
That's why I said when it comes out.
Ah.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
That's what I'll be playing this weekend. That and Ace, whatever. It's a dating sim. Ace Academy.
And don't forget
dating sim with Max.
Don't forget your domain Sky.
Ace Attorney.
Yeah, that too. No. Ace Academy.
Oh, okay.
It's a dating sim with mech pilots.
Oh my god.
I bought that yesterday. Here you go. I'll just give you a little link.
Okay.
In Skype.
You're starting to draw me into these goofball, cheesy dating sim games. I still have Panzer models that I need to play through.
Am I going to have to push for? Am I going to have to push for another visual novel to actually get some class here?
Maybe so.
Class is relative, sir.
Hey, all right. You can't argue with If My Heart Had Wings.
I actually didn't play it, so my intent was to do one of those.
Yeah, but Jared did,
things.
And he can't argue that was a very good story.
No, it's really good. I've played some good, classy visual novels, but I also
but you only talk about the
super
trash.
Cheesy. I know, because that's according to you guys, that's me. I'm trash.
Well, my intent was to do one of those.
No, you're also lazy. Don't forget that.
I was going to do one of those sneaky review the other game things again, but I just never had the time. I was going to play some Life is Strange.
Don't worry about that.
So I wasn't able to get enough free time to do that. So, but it was mainly just because I already have Life is Strange, and I didn't have If My Heart Had Wings. So whatever. I'm done.
All right. Well, we're at roughly 50 minutes of recording, actual podcast recording time. And we're still on games.
Yeah.
So, Rage, your turn.
Okay, so my first game, I finished up Grow Up this time around. Actually, we finished it up over the weekend, and doesn't hold up to the first game, Grow Home.
Okay.
It's very strange. It's a platformer, and honestly, most of the time, I didn't spend platforming or even climbing like I did in the first game. Most of the game, I spent getting to higher elevations and just kind of gliding around. And somewhere you hear Kyle frantically typing to get this game. And that's not to say that this game is bad. It's not a good YouTube game. It's there's not a lot of meat on the bones. It's all going around and getting the various spaceship parts, and you would think, okay, well, that sounds like a lot of stuff, but there's not a lot of challenge in getting anywhere. Mostly because they give you the glider very early, and they give you a fairly strong jetpack. And once you go around and start collecting power crystals, which unlocks various abilities, you start getting more and more energy and a stronger jetpack pretty quickly. And I only got about halfway through the crystals. Actually, not even halfway through. I got maybe a third of the way through now that I think about it, because I didn't technically finish the game because I didn't get all the collectibles. All the bullshit Ubisoft stuff. Let's be perfectly honest. And it's just, it's one of those games that I want to like a lot more. And if I was playing it off my channel and was just, goofing off on it every so often, playing it like I do Mad Max, where, I want to goof off for half an hour or so, I'll load this up and fly around for a bit. I think I would like it a lot more, but at the same time, it's it's one of those games that it lost its charm. It lost its direction.
Okay. Yeah. I get that.
You're just trying to force me along to the next topic, aren't you?
Well, no. I mean, that's a lot of what I heard people say when.
I gave it a chance. That's the thing. I gave it a fair chance, and it's just one of those things that I think Ubisoft saw Grow Home. I keep confusing the two because Grow Up sounds like the perfect title for the first game, but that's not the first game. That's the second game.
Yeah.
So I think Ubisoft saw their experimental game Grow Home and thought, wow, that we can make this into our traditional open world style. And it just doesn't work like that. Or maybe it's just the fact that you're starting to feel a little bit of a fatigue of Ubisoft style open world games where, they throw you in the world and that's about it. I mean, I tried out Wildlands and just found it utterly boring.
That was a conversation on one of the more recent co-optional podcasts when Wildlands came out.
Well, boring and broken.
Yeah.
I still have yet to get into that one. I want to give it a try.
I played the beta, so
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is that, can you even call it a beta when it's releasing within the month?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that anymore. But Wildlands is something that I've been kind of looking at, not with like, oh my god, I want to play it, but I tend to like the Tom Clancy games.
I tend to.
Yeah, this Wildlands is Tom Clancy light. It's Tom Clancy locked in a room with Just Cause and having a very, very demented little baby.
Just Cause lost all of its fun.
Yeah, that I said that grew up in a very humorless environment.
See, and that's kind of where, like, I never got into the Just Cause series just because I found it way too over the top.
Just Cause?
It was too cheesy for me. I liked a little bit of realism.
That's the thing. Then maybe Wildlands is for you.
Yeah.
Just Cause was one of the first games Katie and I ever really bonded over. We used to sit around and get drunk and play Just Cause and do all kinds of stupid stuff, and she'd make fun of me and call me names.
Well, it's good to see the relationship never changed.
Yeah, I'll probably check out Wildlands sometimes eventually, but...
Yeah, as for Grow Up, if you want a game that just you like fire up every so often, play 15, 20 minutes, go get Mad Max.
Get 911 operator. Oh.
Get Halo Wars 2. But I'll talk more about that later.
Oh,
all right,
okay,
let's move on to your mystery game.
Yeah, which I've been torturing you. Do you have any other guesses?
No, I gave up. Honestly, I forgot about it up until I checked the topics list today.
And saw redacted on there?
Yeah. So Rage put redacted for his mystery game and a link that's just question marks. And I didn't expect the link to go to the game, but I had to click the link because I had to know what it was.
Yeah,
It's
and it went
pretty
to
funny. I
the
had a good
song
laugh.
for the secret area in Battle Block Theater. And no, it's not Battle Block Theater. As a matter of fact, Jared actually said the title of my game.
When? Last week?
No, actually just now. Halo Combat Evolved.
Really? You
Oh.
played the PC version of Halo Combat Evolved.
I've done my recording test. I'm going to record it tomorrow night.
Wow.
Man,
You
that's
would
a
have
callback
never
there.
guessed that.
No, I would have never figured it out in a million years. What,
Oh.
So yeah, tell me about it.
He's excited now.
I'm excited.
I could just hear him quivering in his chair.
My loins are
now
ready.
you know why I've been teasing you with this. I've been toying around with going to another retro game. And hearing you talk about the Halo series, I thought, I haven't actually finished the original Halo game. And granted, I can't get far into the Halo story because there's only 2 on the PC, and I'm not even sure if Halo 2 works on modern modern OSs because
Halo
it was
2
locked
was originally
to
launched as a Vista.
yeah, I was about to
exclusive.
say it was locked to Vista, so I'm not sure if it could even run. So on a whim, I downloaded the original Halo because there's no way to get it digitally. And the fucking thing works. And they actually put out patches to make it run at 1080p.
Yeah, the Halo has receives a lot of community support.
No.
There's a ton of really good mods.
The patch that brought it up to 1080p was from Bungie.
Oh, I wonder if they did that when they did the remaster of it
for
a few years
the
ago.
anniversary edition.
Yeah.
So I thought, I wonder if this it records. Well, I think I found my new game. And then I decided to torture Jared.
Have either of you played the remastered version?
Yes.
No.
I own it.
Oh, you did? Okay. I tried getting back into it. See, I started with Halo Reach. And then I started going backwards.
Yeah, the original Halo and Halo 2 don't hold up super well.
Yeah, I'm
not in terms
expecting
of gameplay and story, but in terms of just like, wow, we've come a long way since then.
Oh, trust me. I've done my recording test. I've noticed it's very rough, and also it's a lot of very old design.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is this plays really roughly. So it's going to be
Halo
more,
though is sorry.
It's going to be more looking back at this point. What is it? A 16-year-old game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 17, because it was a...
I thought it came out in 01.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
it
pretty
was-
sure. Well, at least the PC version. Remember, PC version.
I thought it was a initial release for the Xbox.
PC version.
Yeah.
Different.
I'm looking
PC.
it up right now. November 15th, 2001.
Wow, okay. Well, Wow, I thought it came out for Xbox first.
The console version may have came out in 2000, but remember, I'm playing the PC version.
Well, I know.
Nope. They released concurrently.
When
Don't see that too often anymore.
when was okay? Now I'm confused because I could have sworn that.
Well, the original Xbox came out.
Oh, that's right. It was a 2000. All right, yeah. All right. My brain is just acting weird because I didn't have an Xbox until I went on my first deployment in 2004. That's where my mind was making the link. So, okay, never mind.
All right, let's hear Rage talk about Halo. Tell me all about your experience. I'm ready. Lean forward. I'm right on top of the mic. I'm ready for this.
I need an adult.
Give it to me.
Well, I haven't
I'm
played
done.
the original Halo in ages, and I never finished it. I only got approximately halfway through it, so this is partly going to be me playing Halo for the first time, and partly revisiting a game that I haven't played in over a decade. And I'm expecting to make a complete fool of myself just because of old game design to begin with and not really knowing the Halo universe. And I'm also expecting Jared to be in the comments correcting all my mistakes and giving me all the lore that I'm missing from the decade and a half of additional lore since the original game.
Huge fan of Halo lore. So much.
Yeah.
Now you know why I was messing with you the entire time, and now it all makes sense, huh?
Yeah, so Halo is kind of the genesis of the modern FPS.
Yeah. There's a lot that's come from the design of Halo. The regenerating health. Granted, Halo has a hybrid system where it has a health bar and the regenerating shields, but it's kind of devolved down to just the regenerating shields aspect of it now. The two-gun design, I'm not sure if it was originally from Halo or if Halo just popularized the idea of having just two guns. And that's the two major ones that I could think of off the top of my head, just design-wise, that really were popularized from Halo or just copied.
Yeah.
Well, the control scheme also for consoles, but PC version, so I can't really talk about that.
Yeah. Halo also introduced this kind of combination of hybrid between... it led into the very linear sort of corridor shooters, but Halo did a really good job of mixing linearity with bits of openness, like the Silent Cartographer. I believe that's the 4th level in Halo. It might be the 3rd level. But anyways... the first half of the level, there's just an island you drive around on, and you have to figure out what to do. And so there's sort of a linear path that you have to take.
Yeah, I'm sure that video is going to be me, wandering around for about 20 minutes.
I do.
While Jared's just screaming in the comments, no, go there, go there.
Yeah. The little bit of Halo the original Halo I played, I've probably got, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours into it total. Probably more than that, I don't know. But yeah, I do. That is something that I remember is the level design was amazing for its time. Now it's definitely aged, but the ability to shift from like indoor close quarters corridor shooting to that whole open range area. Yeah, I don't know. My thoughts are trailing off here.
Yeah.
I'm glad I scrapped the idea of messing with Jared even more and just trying to work in Halo chapter names into random tweets. Because you would have caught that right away.
I would have caught that really quickly. My Halo lore is strong. The 3 audiobooks I downloaded that I've been listening to is a series of Halo books that I never finished, and so I just decided to start them over. The Thursday War series. Good stuff.
Or the other idea I had was the link that I put on the show notes. Link it to I Love Bees.
I know what that is too. I would have got that immediately.
Granted, that's the wrong Halo, but still.
Yeah, but I would have gotten at least right on. I would have guessed Halo 2, but I would have been right there at it. So.
Oh, I'm glad I've amused you at least.
I will definitely be interested in watching that.
I'm excited to go on this journey with you.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about going back and replaying Halo. Like, it's been because I've got the Master Chief Collection, which is Halos 1 through 4, and it's got the remastered version of Halo 1 and 2 on it. And I seriously, after playing so much Halo Wars over the weekend, I was thinking about going back and replaying it, and it's pretty much just solidified my decision to do that this weekend. I don't know if I could get through all 4. It'd be tough. I might could do it.
Well, remember, I could only do 2.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm not. I'm not worried about you anymore.
I'm wanting to. Man, now you got me thinking about it too. God dang. Because I just want to finish the collection once. I've gone through Halo Reach multiple times because when we first got our Xbox 360, that was an exclusive, or it came with the code for it. And
yeah.
For the longest time, I just avoided Halo because I was like, whatever, it's a stupid shooter. Another generic sci-fi shooter. And then I got to playing, I was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty good.
It's not. Halo Reach, though, is probably the worst one out of the whole series to start with. Not because it's a bad game, but it has so many one-off concepts that the rest of the series doesn't have.
Yeah.
So it's a bit odd to start with it.
I have Halo Reach completely under my belt. I've got ODST completely under my belt, and I think
ODST was great too.
I think I did pretty much everything but the last big boss fight in Halo 4.
Okay.
Except I just don't really remember much of that because I think I just blew through it, just trying to get through it, and didn't really pay attention to anything. I think I was
Halo 4.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Halo 4 suffers a bit too because it was the first non-Bungie developed Halo game.
Yeah, and I think what I was doing
after they finally split.
I was trying to push through the single player campaign because at the time I had some friends that were playing the campaign, the multiplayer campaign stuff. If I remember right, there was a season pass type thing.
Yeah,
Am I wrong on this?
What were they called? No, you're right. They were little story missions that were on the multiplayer maps.
Yeah, and I remember I was trying to push through the storyline to get to that. And then me and a couple of my buddies were going to link up and play these story missions, but then just never got to it. So that's why I don't really remember the single player as much as I probably should have.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I have a feeling I started something.
Well, Halo 1, 2, 3, and ODST are the games that all are based on themselves. And then Halo Reach and Halo 4 are based in lore that sprung up around the game.
Yeah.
And then Halo 5 is taking it on to the next level. And then the 2 Halo Wars games are standalone. They connect back to the main series, but they stand alone in terms of their storytelling. They're not based on any existing lore, aside from just this is the Halo universe and the aesthetic that we're going with.
I just loved the idea of Nathan Fillion and ODST.
Yes, he's in Halo 5 as well.
Yeah.
He's a Spartan.
Well, and he
Halo
had
5.
the cameo in Reach, but I never made the connection when I first played through Reach because I didn't know, whatever. And then when I go into ODST, I'm like, wait a minute, that's Nathan Fillion. That's Reynolds. All right. Mr. Captain. And then I ended up replaying Reach, and I was like, oh, that's him again. I forgot.
Yep. He's Buck, right?
Bit of a man crush on it, yeah. Buck,
I have
yep.
I have a man crush on Nathan Fillion, too. It's all right.
You have a lot of
He's
man
ruggedly
crushes.
handsome.
And charismatic.
Yeah, but Nathan Fillion's one of the ones that matter. I'd totally fuck Nathan Fillion. A lot of my crushes are just man, they're really good to look at. But Nathan Fillion, he's on my list. I'd totally fuck
But
Nathan
Jason
Fillion.
Statham.
He's attractive, but I don't think I'd fuck Jason Statham.
Okay.
Honestly, I'd be afraid that he'd hurt me. Nathan Fillion is, he's handsome, but he's kind and he's soft. I feel like I could really romance with Nathan Fillion, but Jason, no. I feel like he'd really hurt me.
I'm broken.
I mean, the sex would probably be phenomenal, but it would hurt a lot.
I was not expecting that. Oh my god. That's what happened when I opened that one up. Alright.
I mean, I could sit around and talk about guys that I'd want to fuck all day, but
Okay,
we should probably
we'll
move on. Rage, we kind of took over this discussion. Do you want to talk any about Halo, or are you ready to move on? And
Well, I haven't
we can
done
experience
too
this
much
journey?
beyond my just my test recording, just to make sure the thing works.
Right.
And I've played probably about an hour and a half of the game before I'm set to restart it.
Okay.
Probably not
So you
even
played-
an hour and a half. Just gotten onto the ring and drove around on the Puma. I'm sorry, the Warthog.
Little red versus blue reference there.
Yes.
And that's really about it. That's how far I got on my test recording. Just to, like I said, it's making sure everything's working, because I am doing a few things. I'm running a fan patch, mostly so that the field of view is something that's not nauseating.
Yeah, I can imagine it's got a pretty small FOV for it because of its age.
Yeah, it was 70.
Yeah, it's a little too narrow.
Yeah, I found a patch that allows me to fix that. That was the big thing, was making sure that works. Granted, I'm assuming that it's probably going to break a cutscene or two, because there's really no reason to animate things outside of the field of view usually, especially on older games like that.
Yeah. The original Halo is famous for weird cutscene stuff. If you could, on the PC version where you could take control of the camera, you can see like lots of little weird things that they do. Like, for example, spoiler, at the end of the game, the camera pans out as the Chief takes off his helmet, and if you move the camera in to where you can actually see him take off his helmet, he takes off his helmet and there's another helmet underneath it.
Helmets all the way down.
Russian nesting doll helmets.
Okay, so then what's the last game that you played?
The last game was the Sunday Sampler, which I actually played with you.
Hey!
I had you as a guest on there, and we played Robocraft together.
Indeed.
See, Ghost, you're not the only one that can play around with blocks. Only I shoot with mine.
Yeah, this game has come so far. I mean, we said that on the Sunday Sampler, and we've said it a bunch of times while we've been playing it, but this game has come so far since its inception. I mean, it's really like two separate games.
This is probably the most I've seen a game change from alpha all the way through to its beta stage. Or if not, then very close to it. I'm just struggling to think of a game that's changed this much. Outside of the genre, there's not a lot that's really left untouched. In the original game, for example, there was different tiers of armor blocks. And I spent ages just trying to upgrade my armor on my little robot that was eating up all the time. I couldn't try to even build another one outside of just buying premium time and hoping that I get enough of the currency back then, which wasn't Robits, it was something else, to be able to afford a second pot, because you had the first win of the day bonus on them. But now it's, once you build one and get it pretty much where you wanted, you're free to start working on your second one. So I have the compensator pretty much locked down now. I've toyed around with its design a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with where it is. The compensator, for those who haven't seen the video, is this giant tri-rotor helicopter with a giant gun just dangling from the bottom of it.
It's got a dingle dangle.
I'm not sure if you could call it that. It's way too big for that. Let's put it this way. The gun is the size of the main body of the compensator.
Yeah.
But you would think that, okay, I'm going to instant kill everything, but outside of just hitting very small bots, they do a really good job of balancing things. I could do a lot of upfront damage, but I don't do a lot of sustained damage. Smaller bots that run lower tier weapons have higher sustained damage, but they don't do the initial burst damage. So it's a really interesting way to see things balanced out between the two styles. And for me, hovering over and doing that initial punch damage and then kind of falling back and letting my teammates kind of just wipe up the remains of what I leave behind really works out well. And it's a game that really rewards teamwork like that.
Yeah. Although, with the game, having evolved so much over the last couple of years, there are certain aspects of it that feel useless, like healing. I mean, healing can...
Here's the thing. That after recording the Sunday Sampler, I went into the little random mode that they did.
Yeah.
That is the old style elimination, where single life. That's where the healing is important. So healing still has its place. It's only in the side game now. So I won't say that it's completely negated, but it's a side project now. Which, yeah, healing. There should be a way to make healing have a primary role without it feeling like you're gimping your team, because that is just not fun.
I think the way that they could fix it is to increase the range of the healing lasers. If they had double or maybe even triple the range that they have now, you could actually sit back just a little bit, keep an eye on your team, and heal more than one person at a time, because you pretty much have to be right on top of whatever.
Yeah, if I could put a healing gun on the compensator, and whenever I fall back after dealing my punch damage and start doing support, that would make healing a lot more viable. Granted, the healing guns do use up a lot of energy when they're actively healing, so it's not as useful on my particular bot, but at the same time, it's something that would have given me a secondary role outside of switching to secondary lasers and picking off the air, the other aircraft, which is usually my secondary role.
Yeah. But it's good overall. I mean, I really enjoy playing it. I'm definitely gonna buy. I said this a couple times. I'm definitely gonna buy the lifetime premium if our group keeps playing it. And we played it for several hours Friday night with Cube and Jim. I guess everybody else was busy. Ghost.
I was actually out playing X-Wing on tabletop with the kiddo. So.
Well, we're gonna play it Friday again. I'm not sure what we're gonna play Wednesday. We might play Wednesday too. I don't know. But we'll definitely play Robocraft again Friday, so you can come play.
May be around for Friday then.
It's really friendly to newcomers. The basic bots that they give you are still relatively competitive, and they can be modified to improve their stats right off the bat before you get into building your own custom bots.
And I will say that if you put was it a $1.50-ish into getting a day of premium and grind on it for a day after learning your basics, you're able to get enough robots, the currency, by reforging the parts that you're given randomly, and make pretty much what you want.
Yeah.
Outside of the limiting thing is the legendary stuff. There's legendary accessories, essentially, which has different abilities that you could do. You have a weapon battery that could recharge your weapon energy. A shield, which puts down a disc shield. There's an EMP, there's a blink module, and a stealth module. All of them are highly expensive. And then the only other legendaries I can think of are the weapons, like the one both myself and Jared randomly got out of a crate.
Right. So the way to explain the balancing a little bit more in depth, both to you, Ghost, and to anyone who's listening that's never played it before, it uses a system called CPU, and every part costs CPU, and even like the basic building blocks for your bot. But the more rare a part is on its way up the scale, the more CPU it uses. So the legendary equipment uses several hundred CPU per item, and it limits your weapon. So the higher your CPU goes, the lower your weapon's energy goes.
And also, I'm wanting to add on, your shield plating also cuts highly into weapon energy, so you can't build just this block of armor, cover it completely with shield plates. Which
you can, but then expect
to do sustained damage.
Yeah. So it balances itself out pretty well. You can just about compete with anybody if you're in the 1,000 to 1,500 CPU range, as long as your bot isn't entirely like basic building blocks. But even bots up from 500 up can usually be competitive. They're a bit more niche. They tend to be like scout, speedy people, and things like that. But if you see someone come onto your team with less than a 500 CPU reading, they're just useless. They're cannon fodder.
Which, depending on the mode, that could be very detrimental to your team, because there's 2 major modes right now, and then there's a rotating... I'm not sure if it's always elimination or if it's just this time around, but there's a rotating mode that changes out every so often. The basic mode, it's 5v5 team deathmatch. First team to 25 kills wins. Or to the time limit, which is, I think it's 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're not very long matches.
Yeah, the normal mode, which I will say that basic and normal, those are 2 very bad names.
Yeah.
They should just call it Team Deathmatch, and then I'm not sure what the other one would be called.
Capture mode, King of the Hill.
Or maybe even Annihilator, because that's the weapon that you're charging.
Annihilation mode.
Well, the normal mode is... it's a combination of point defense, capture point, and a King of the Hill style mode where you're trying to charge your annihilators in your base. And you do this by capturing points along the map. One of 3 points. Well, the more points you get, the faster your annihilator charges. Then at 5 minutes and 10 minutes in the map, it has a catch-up mechanic where it'll actually balance out the amount of energy that the 2 teams have if you're successful in capturing that core. If you're ahead, you're trying to defend that core, and that's where the King of the Hill aspect comes in. And also, if you capture all 3 points on the map, the enemy's shield goes down on their base, and you're able to steal energy from them to essentially force a win a lot faster. It's a kind of just a snowball mechanic of, okay, we're obviously going to win. Let's just speed things up and get it over with. It's an interesting idea of a balance where there's a really, really strong catch-up mechanic, but also a mechanic built in to finish off the game quickly if it's a hugely imbalanced match. But it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It's a really good mode. The basic mode, we kind of use that for testing our stuff. And then we play normal mode when we want to be a little bit more serious. Normal mode has a ranking system and a tier list that you go up. So the more matches you win, the higher you get in the tier list, the tougher opponents you
I'm
fight.
only in mid-high silver right now.
Yeah. I think we were at the bottom of the silver tier when we finished playing on Sunday night, and I haven't played it since.
Yeah, I played a couple more matches. I will say that it seems like, at least in the silver tier, I don't run into all that many flyers, or the ones that I do are approximately a third of the CPU that the compensator has. And the compensator is built around 2 ideas: artillery fire from above and taking out enemy aircraft.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been kind of dominating the skies. The downside of it is that if I start getting a lot of fire from the ground level, which I tend to do because I kind of piss people off, imagine that. I get people angry at me.
Who would have thunk it?
Then I end up being out of the battle for a while because I'll just get shot down repeatedly, because that's the downside of having a helicopter, is that your rotors are your weak point.
Yeah.
But, I should say that, yes, all the vehicles are destructible. It's the Minecraft style of everything is built out of either blocks or parts. But there's also, in the 2 basic modes, or basic and normal, like I said, terrible names for the modes, there's a regeneration mechanic. If you do not take damage for 10 seconds, your bot starts regenerating, and that also makes healing kind of a non-issue. Kind of negates it to a secondary role.
Yep. Okay. I don't have anything else to add to this. And I'm also jonesing for a bathroom break. We've been on the Skype call for just north of 2 hours.
I could use one, yeah.
So if you don't have anything else to add to Robocraft Rage, we can take a short break before I come talk about the rest of my games.
Before you come back and talk about Robocraft?
Yeah.
We should install a bathroom in this level so we don't have to continuously take the elevator.
We should do that. But for now, let's go ride the elevator and take a bathroom break. Well, we're back after our trip up and down the elevator to go use the bathroom and get refill beverages and stuff. So we will wrap up the game section with the last two games that I played. The first was Anime Studio Story. This is another one of those Kairosoft mobile games that I always get into.
Oh boy, here we go.
So Sunday, I discovered that they finally put the last series of Top Gear on Netflix. So I want to sit down and watch it. I've never seen it before. But I also wanted to play a mobile game while I was watching, and so I was like going through looking for mobile games to get, and I was like, you know what? I like Kairosoft. I've always enjoyed their games, so I'll pick up Anime Studio Story, give that a shot, and it's okay. It's a lot less interactive than the rest of the Kairosoft games that I've played. What you're doing is you run, at first, a small anime studio, and you create your own individual characters, and you get some random series choices, kind of like Game Dev Tycoon and all those other sort of games. It's like, I can do a school romance story, or a pop star monster story. Like, it just gives you a few randomly to start with.
This genre with high school students. Here, let's have, just for a change of pace, middle school.
I did. That's how I started my anime studio. It was like a long-running series about different sports taking place in high school, and my main character was called Judo Girl, which Judo Girl is one of the ones that you get by default. It's really expensive to develop characters, so I just went with one of the default characters.
Judo Girl?
Judo. Judo Girl.
Was one of the sports tankery?
No, it was not.
God, I love
Judo Girl
Panzer.
Played basketball and baseball.
I was about to say, I hope you're making a Girls on Panzer reference.
Yes.
That's actually a surprisingly good show.
I loved that show.
I went into
much.
that. I was expecting to watch one episode and think, wow, this is going to be trash, and drop it. But that was actually a really good show.
Yeah. And I've not unlocked everything because I haven't mastered each of the different job paths, and that's how you unlock all of the different anime genres, is by having, like your writer and your art director and, et cetera, et cetera. And the higher the level that they get, the more genres you unlock. But,
so have you gotten to the point where you
is
completely diverge from the source material and make it trash?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
But I mean, my anime company is basically set. I've got the biggest office space that you can unlock, and I make several $1 million a year by producing anime for the specifically like anime TV station. I mean, it's fun, but it's basically like, okay, are your guys like leveled up? Have they been trained? Do they have good skills? This anime will sell no matter what it is. And, then in the early game, because all of your people are shit, it's like, will this sell? No, it doesn't matter what you do. So you kind of start the game by...
I really don't like about that genre, is that it's more about, okay, have you ground up on your writers or, whatever, version we're talking about, but it's the same basic idea. Does your staff have good skills? If so, congratulations. No matter what you shit out, it's successful or it's rated well. I'd love to see this idea moved into a more of a full simulation style where there's variables, the market plays a bigger part. If you put out a high school romance at the same season that there's a dozen of them, you may get lost no matter how good your show is.
Yeah.
Using this as an example.
There's a little bit of that in the mid game. Once you have a large group of different places to put your anime, because it starts out you can just put it on online, and then you get a couple of like local TV stations, and then you start getting specific TV stations. They'll say in the description, like, this TV station is a sports network, but they want to try an anime out. So it's like, well, if you make anything that's not a sports anime, it's going to flop on that TV station. And so there, there's a little bit of that. You have to pick and choose what you're going to do. But like I just said, and like you said, once you get a high level staff, you can shit out any old thing, and you'll score at least. It scores your stuff on a 100-point scale, and I haven't scored anything less than 75 in a long time. So I just rake in the money. At this point, I'm just kind of going on it like completionist, like making weird anime characters and leveling them up to their maximum popularity so that I can have like I made one character that's got a bear body and then like a really like rugged army looking head, and I named him Bear Grylls. And Bear Grylls is currently
define bear.
Like an actual bear.
Oh.
So
like a grizzly bear.
Not old guy who likes young guys?
No. Not right now.
Why would Joe want to put himself in the game?
And then I made One Punch Man. And One Punch Man is a very successful hero. And I made a guy...
Well, I hope you're at least making
Season
2 quickly.
I am, very quickly. And then I made a guy who's called Businessman, and he just looks like a generic businessman. And Businessman is really popular. But... it's a cute, fun game. I don't think it's worth $5, which is what I paid for it. But, I've gotten enough enjoyment out of it that I don't feel like I was, like, ripped off. I'm just like, well, I wish I'd only paid, like, $2 for this. So that's Anime Studio Story.
Well, it kind of just gets into, my problem with that subgenre. We're talking a lot of management games this week, now that I really think about it.
Yeah.
Is that I want to see something a little bit more meaty on that style of genre, that style of management. And there's really nothing there. Even Game Dev Tycoon and the other one that I can think of right off the top of my head, which is sort of the same idea as the Holy Potatoes games.
Yeah.
Granted, I think the space one is supposed to be a lot more in depth, but that's also going away from sort of the management style into more of a sci-fi battle. Almost it looked almost roguelike from what I was looking at, but then again, I didn't look too much into it.
Yeah, I haven't looked too much into it. I mean, I'm gonna buy Holy Potatoes. We're in space because just like the absurdity of it. That's the main reason I bought Holy Potatoes, a weapon shop.
But it's the same idea. It's really, it's a management game about character grinding, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the other game I played this week, I played quite a lot of, a whole lot of, was Halo Wars 2. I've probably played Halo Wars 2 for 25 hours this past week. I finally finished the campaign. I had been playing it a little bit along. Like a mission here, a mission there. But I decided to just wait until I could just sit down and play the rest of it in a big chunk. So I played it for the campaign for about 7 hours on Saturday and finished it off. Good campaign. A lot of the novelty from the original missions goes away as it settles into more, okay, you've got all the stuff unlocked, now we're just going to do RTS. Although there is one mission in the second half, maybe even into the final third of the game, that takes place on this gigantic map that you have to switch back and forth between the different commanders, and like when you're controlling one, you're not in control of the other one, to take an objective so that you can get one of your Spartans onto the Covenant ship to do some stuff. But that was really interesting because one of them is like a full-fledged, you build a base and do all this stuff, and the other one is more like, okay, we're having to infiltrate, and these are all of the troops that you get, and you can't get any more unless you use your like leader powers to call in reinforcements or whatever. But that's the only way you can get new troops on one side of the map. And the other side of the map is like supporting that side, plus has to deploy the primary Like, you have to deploy these artillery cannons to take out the defenses of the grab lift. And so, like, you're trying to support the other team so they don't get wiped out, because, like, the story shtick is that their ship or their transport gets shot down, so they're having to complete their objective without the full support of a base and stuff, and you have to support them. It's neat. It's pretty neat. But other than that, and a tower defense style mission, which honestly is probably my favorite mission in the whole game, there's not too much more inventive stuff, because last time I talked about how that on the second level you fight a boss that's kind of like an old school MMO boss that has like multiple stages to him, and he comes back and you kill him, and his fight's pretty similar to the first one, but he has an additional fourth stage that's interesting, but the novelty of it kind of wore off by then. The final mission of the campaign, which did not... Okay, so this is the big problem that I have with this game.
Oh boy,
It suffers from a modern trend in gaming to gate content behind a season pass.
Oh.
So the end of the game, all right, is a pretty long mission where that it's like, we have got to hold this point at all costs. Fuck it, here's everything. And you just get like constant streams of reinforcements and unlimited hero powers, and you're having like this magnificent last stand to defend this place so that you can secure your foothold and live and not get wiped out. Like, crazy. Great mission. And then after the mission, there's a cutscene, and I'm like, all right, great. We've survived. The main bad guy, his name's Atriox. It's like, we defeated his troops. Now we're ready to launch our counteroffensive. We've got maybe 2 or 3 more missions left where we take the fight to him. Like, that's what the whole last 3 missions have been about, like securing a foothold so that we can send for help and then start taking the fight to Atriox. And then the game ends. And it's like, you've been teasing this for like the last 6 missions. Like, and you even have like he has little exchanges with the main bad guy with the main good guy. His name's Captain Cutter. And Captain, they taunt each other and talk in cutscenes and all this stuff. It's like, really? That's got to be, unless they're setting it up for a sequel, which is still shitty because it feels like the game, like just like 2 or 3 more missions would have been enough to fulfill where I felt like the story was going. Because I felt like it was most of the way there, like three-fourths.
Yeah, it's
a
good thing that the
there.
Halo series doesn't know anything about just cutting off in the middle of an ending and teasing a sequel.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the first Halo Wars had a really good, complete story, and I don't feel like this was a complete story. And they've said that there's more campaign missions in the season pass, so I don't know if this is the season pass, the DLC is going to contain the rest of the campaign, which would piss me off, or if they're teasing a sequel and it's just like, some alternate missions, or like, because there's a few points where the story kind of skips around, and they could put some missions in there to like tell what happened to a certain character whenever they disappear for a little while or whatever. And if that's the case, I mean, whatever, that's fine. But if it is the last like 2 or 3 campaign missions that I feel like need to be in there, I'm gonna be super pissed off because I don't want to buy the season pass or the DLC. But that's my big bugbear with this game. Like, my big negative was that when it ended, I was like, wait, that's it? Where's the rest of this that you've been teasing? And they in a cutscene that makes you think like right up until the end that you're about to go fight Atriox. Like, you see him and the remnant of his forces, which is still like a shitload of forces, and he's all pissed off and he's like killing his subordinates and smashing things because he's mad that the humans actually beat him. And it's like, great, I'm gonna go fight him. And he's even one of the hero characters you can play in multiplayer. So like, obviously he's gonna be there, right? Nope. I was really mad. Felt very disappointed in the story. But beyond that, I kept playing it because the multiplayer component, mostly skirmish mode. I haven't played too much with real people online. They did fix some of their netcode issues, but I just haven't really been interested in playing online with people. I've been testing out all the maps and the heroes and skirmish mode and stuff like that. And the AI is dumb. Dumb. There's no point in playing on easy mode. I mean, if you just want to, like, I don't know, farm lots of resources or something and not worry about dying, play on easy mode. But otherwise, there's no point. They don't even expand their base on easy mode.
Yeah, Jared, I've been poking around about the ending for Halo Wars 2, and a lot of people are saying that they think it's leading into Halo 6.
People have said that, and if that's the case, still, shame on you.
Yeah.
Don't leave me with blue balls because you're trying to sell another game. Like, if I'm buying, if you're the person who buys Halo Wars 2, you're invested in the Halo series. There's no reason to buy it if you're not. Like, it's a solid, like, bare
What, you mean
bones
someone like
RTS.
me that I look at the UI and go, ew.
I mean, it's a pretty solid base for an RTS, but if you're not really invested in the Halo series, you're gonna get bored really fast.
Wasn't there? Oh, go ahead.
Because there's not a lot of depth to it.
Wasn't there bits to the Halo 4 storyline that kind of was like, oh, you're obviously leading us towards a new... I can't quite remember that, but I want to say that
yes,
there was some chatter about that I could remember.
But the main story of Halo 4 did not do that. It was those little, like, bonus missions, whatever they were.
Okay, that's right. All right.
That were leading up to the sequel, that were teasing the next Halo.
All right.
Because Halo 4 had a complete story start to finish. I mean, it had its usual little Halo caveats and, like, oh, we could tug on this thread for an extended universe thing or a sequel, but...
Yeah.
I felt satisfied with the story in general for Halo 4.
Okay.
But so back to skirmish mode for Halo was 2. The AI is pretty stupid on normal as well. If you want to test out, like, I played normal mode to test out all the maps and a few little random strategies just to see how things were different in skirmish versus the campaign. But I mean, I was just doing that to test things. The AI is easy to beat.
So probably the AI just gets bonus stuff depending on the difficulty?
I haven't tried Legendary yet. In Heroic mode is when they start to get a bit challenging. There have been a few close moments where I've nearly gotten killed in Heroic mode, mostly because it was me doing something stupid. But they will take advantage of it. I don't feel like they're cheating. Like, it doesn't feel like they're getting bonus resources or bonus damage or anything like that on Heroic. I was going to try Legendary this evening before we got on, but I didn't get a chance to. I got home a little later than usual, and I had to take care of a few things before we started recording. But
oh my.
Heroic mode is pretty much the standard mode to play on if you're going to play skirmish mode. The AI offers a decent challenge. It doesn't feel like they cheat, and they actually do really good at the objective games. When it comes to just wipe out your opponent, they tend to follow pretty specific rules. They rush a lot. None of the Covenant forces, because I always play UNSC versus Covenant. The Covenant forces are not restrained. They rush a lot. They heavily invest in the early units in the game, and you can pretty much count on it. Like 6 or 7 minutes after the start of a match, there's going to be a huge rush wave that comes at your base and excuse me, your allies' base if you're choosing to play with allies. But after that, they settle in, and it can be a slogfest to beat them, because they do play fairly well. I think Legendary, though, I'm not sure how they could actually perform better. I think Legendary, they're just going to start cheating. Doing that thing that lots of RTS games do, giving them boosted resources or...
Well, games in general, really.
Yeah.
It's really the easiest knob to turn when adjusting difficulty is just make it so that it takes more shots to kill them than and they do more damage to you.
I'm not sure though if they would actually. I mean, they might, but the skull system.
I'm not using that as a direct example, but still.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but the thing is that Halo has that in the skull system, which there's a lot of really fun skulls for Halo Wars 2. There's the traditional grunt birthday party, where when you kill any squad that has a grunt in it, all the grunts' heads pop and confetti comes out and it goes, yay!
It's prime.
Then there's one called the Rainbow Skull or the Sunshine. I don't remember. It's like Sunshine and Rainbows or something like that. But all of the beam weapons in the game are now rainbows that sparkles come off of them.
Well, I know what mode you're playing with.
I turn those 2 skulls on all the time because they're fun. And there's some other fun other fun skulls too that like change the voices.
Watch it, Bethesda's going to sue.
They add voice modifiers to the characters and stuff like that. And then there's the serious scrolls that like
skulls
units. Did I say scrolls again?
Yes.
Oh, whoops. Skulls, where that like there's one that from the moment you build a unit, they start dying, just losing health. So all of your units will expire on their own, just standing around. There's ones that make specifically enemies tougher to fight, give them more health or more damage or whatever. There's ones that adjust the economy of the game. Some of them in your favor, some of them in the other opposing team's favor. So there's a lot of modifiers like that you can turn on or off by default just because of the Halo Skull system that's existed since Halo 2. So you can do a lot of fun stuff with that. But people are a lot more tough and a lot more frustrating, which is why I don't like to play with people. The tough part I can handle, but your teammate just constantly spamming you with the team emotes and coming and stealing your shit and like not communicating, like,
almost
hey,
like
we
playing
should
Rocket League.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we should do this. No, fuck you. Or like, hey, I'm gonna go capture this base, and then they immediately go capture it. It's like, well, you asshole, I was gonna capture that base. You capture that base on your side of the map. But also, after playing all the maps, the map design is not the greatest. There's only like 2 maps that I really like, because in the campaign mode, there's lots of places where you can do things with troops, like garrison them or set up ambushes or map control. There's very little of that in skirmish mode. Most of the maps are symmetrical, and there's very little that you can actually interact with on the map itself. So a lot of the things that make the story mode so interesting are not present in skirmish, which sucks. But you can get the Condor, which is a giant fuck-off spaceship that comes and flies around and destroys everything in its wake. So that's nice. You only get that in the last campaign mission, but I get it every time in skirmish mode.
So you have the Condor, I have the Compensator.
Yeah, the Condor has got several dingle-dangles.
You haven't seen the updated version of the Compensator.
The Condor's got more, I promise. It's got like 7 or 8.
Well, it's not the number that counts, it's the size.
Fair enough. But so it's a lot of fun. Overall I enjoy it. I'm pissed off about the ending to the story, but at the very least I can just go on the Halo wiki in a few months and read what happens in the last couple of missions, and then decide if I actually want to buy it and play through it. So
well, for me, that would be a no. Actually, for the game overall, but still.
Oh, okie dokie. Well, let's move on. So, what's our timer at?
Hour 45.
Okay, unless there's one you really want to talk about, I'm in favor of throwing out all of our other topics except for Community Corner, the Fonzie, and Discovery Queue. Because honestly, we didn't really have any interesting topics anyways.
Yeah.
We were grasping at straws this week.
Not a lot to talk about, to be honest.
Most of the other oddball ones could be summed up by yada yada yada. Developers did something stupid. And
publishers are going to just screw you over if they can get away with it.
Right. So
but yeah, the one that we were wanting to talk about, I am definitely wanting to talk about.
Okay, so let's just throw out everything. We'll jump down to Community Corner.
All right.
Do we want to do Jim's Fonzie first or second? First, I think, because it's more of a topic as opposed to... Okay, so last week, he sent it on Tuesday, so I don't know if...
Yeah, it was probably before the podcast normal recording time, and we kind of neglected on mentioning that we were recording a day early.
Right. So, Jim sent us an email with a couple of links to a new VR game. which utilizes, it's called Starship Commander, and it's a VR game that utilizes voice control exclusively. And this got me thinking, well, one, we should talk about this, and two, we should also kind of just talk about VR in general some as well, because the last time we really, really talked about it was at least a year, I think more than a year ago. And just talk about how VR has developed and changed and what we think of it now. But let's talk about Starship Commander first. I like the looks of this. If it actually works,
it looks interesting.
I would love it.
But the thing is that I'm a little concerned about just how quickly it's going to repeat itself, because it's using full motion video. And what?
I'm not 100% certain that is full motion video.
No, they say full motion video. They say it. Full motion video.
Okay, but
that's why I went and double checked that, because I wasn't sure. Okay. Because they have a lot of effects on the video, but they say FMV. So
okay, well, my only concern or questioning of that is the fact that there are some pretty interesting things out there that can do like text to video type stuff, like using FaceRig as an example. They have their 2D avatar system now.
Yeah, it's very popular with some Twitch streamers to use FaceRig.
Yeah, but
the fact that they're using full-blown video, it makes me wonder just how much content they're going to have before they start repeating themselves, because full motion video takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it was a stopgap in the 90s before graphics for 3D was really good enough. But even then, that took up a lot of disk space back on the CDs. So I'm wondering, just how much they're dedicating to their aesthetic and spending their time on making it look pretty and not putting a lot of content into it. It's a little bit of a concern because, what we talked about with the 911 operator, once you start getting those repeating things, it starts to really grate on you.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much full motion video they're actually using.
Yeah,
I listened to the podcast link that he sent us.
Well, I didn't see the email till late, and you didn't tell me that we had something to watch. So, yeah.
Well, I didn't realize until this afternoon. This afternoon's when I actually went through all that stuff in depth. But, anyways, I listened to the podcast, and they say, yeah, we use FMV, but they don't say how much of it is that. And they're saying that you'll be able to play through it several times and get different scenarios based on the choices that you make and how you actually respond. They're really touting this sort of voice recognition engine at how it's supposedly supposed to be able to interpret different things that you say differently, as opposed to having to conform everything to voice commands. They're claiming it's not voice commands at all, but actual voice recognition along the lines of like OK Google system and
like
Alexa
Dragon or
and
Siri.
Yeah, something more like that. So
yeah, which how are they powering this? Or is it going to be requiring a internet connection?
They did not mention that anywhere. So
I would kind of think that it probably would.
Internet connection for what exactly? What
for the voice recognition software. Because
they're using
your Siri is sending your recording off to the Google Cloud or to the Apple Cloud, and they're doing everything on that end of things.
They said it's some Microsoft tool that they're using.
Yeah, which
they
I'm
say
not
it in one of the videos,
with.
But I wasn't familiar with it, and I didn't look it up.
I'm double checking it here. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Let's see, where's it at?
And also, I'm wondering if people are just going to start getting kind of lazy with it and kind of take away some of the big selling point. Instead of talking to the computer like you're commanding it, just say fire or open fire instead of talking about focus fire on this ship. Or it's one of those things that it sounds great in theory, but then you start looking at it as at a gameplay perspective.
They said in the podcast that they actually were accounting for that, and they were counting on people to play it both ways. Like, you know, one time try and play through it like it's a serious military guy, and the other one try and play through it as like someone with an attitude or whatever, and how that would the game would respond differently to you and the way that you were addressing it. Which, again, that's another one of those things they were like, yeah, it's going to do this, it should do this, we're planning on doing this, so those are things that they could back out of. But
YouTube, but bullshit meter's starting to creep up there.
It looks. I'd like to see it in action.
Yeah.
As
because
opposed to just
the
their
videos they show are very, very limited.
Yeah, I'd like to see it in action, but I'm actually pretty confident that as long as they do it properly, the voice recognition system will work. Voice tech has gotten a lot better over the last few years, and you can kind of chart its evolution through the improvements made to Siri, the improvements made to the OK Google system, Alexa, things like that. Those open
this really
voice...
comes down to just how they're powering the voice system, because linked in the show notes under the community or under the mail, a game that does voice command completely.
Which one is that?
And I'm completely blanking.
There may be an echo.
Yeah.
Is that the one it is?
One of the problems with it is that it has trouble with accents because they have it all downloaded. There's no internet connection required as far as I know for it. And pretty much every single negative review of it talks about how it doesn't work if you have the wrong type of accent or if you're not a native speaker of English.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a huge hurdle for this game.
Well, this is interesting. I'm looking at their website, and they're based out of Champaign, Illinois. That's not too far of a jaunt from me.
All right, here's your homework. Go check out their studio.
I will do that.
Go break in.
You're kind of kidding, but I'm almost kind of like, this is an interesting idea. I wouldn't mind chatting with them. Because, see, okay, you guys know I'm going to college for, like, computer science type stuff.
Yes.
I don't really know what I'm wanting to specialize in yet, but, like, this kind of, like, crazy cutting-edge type tech stuff is something I'm kind of leaning towards. Like, human-to-computer interaction. I'm really kind of leaning towards looking at that stuff specifically. So, this kind of stuff, like, speech recognition and, computers reading or understanding human speech or thought patterns or whatever, that kind of stuff is very interesting to me. So I am very intrigued by this project.
Yeah. I will say I'm intrigued. I'm just very leery of how well it will handle.
And as a gamer, yes, I would say that I am kind of leery about how well this is going to perform. And the problem that I see with it is if this doesn't perform well, gaming in general can be kind of a fickle market. And if something doesn't show the numbers of, was a blockbuster hit, people are never going to try it again. And I think that's the wrong way to go about this. Something like this could be awesome, but it may not be all that good in its first generation.
Yeah.
I think that...
Well, like I said, just go look at the reviews for There Came an Echo. It's the best analog I could have to this.
I have There Came an Echo. I've played a little bit of it. I used the voice chat a little bit. Actually, I take that back. I've only got like a couple missions under my belt with it. So it's kind of like still in a tutorial. But the little bit that I did do, I specifically used voice, and up until I got too drunk to really start, I kept slurring my words. It was actually going pretty well, but I'm a fairly generic Midwest accent, so if I had super Southern drawl or don't you know Northern speak, it might be a different story. But
yeah,
I don't know. This kind of stuff is not going to be perfect right away. And
Yeah,
there's
but-
different accents.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff
see,
that
that's where the
muddy it.
problem really lies, is that it is a mechanic, and you have to have that really spot on. Otherwise, it's going to really hurt the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's different from having a game that isn't as pretty, but it plays well. People can enjoy it, but if it plays terribly, it really is a lot more difficult to enjoy.
But the other thing
I
too
think-
is this technology is
That's
by-
why I'm so leery about it.
Yeah, and I'm cautiously optimistic about it too. But I mean, this technology is built by Microsoft. And say what you will about Microsoft 10 or Windows 10, but
Oh, don't start on Jared. He will.
okay. Windows aside, some of their side projects and technologies that they try and produce, they do come out to be pretty well on the mark. I kind of have faith that this is a technology that, yes, in its infancy may not be perfect, but will strive to become, a good working model.
I think the biggest point of contention, if they had chose to go strictly with voice commands, this would have worked perfectly, or almost perfectly. Like, voice commands are pretty much there. You have to have either a system that's just garbage, or
Yeah, that's
like
why
an actual like voice recognition system that's garbage, or like a really really odd accent. But even accents, by and large, the main voice command systems can handle some pretty crazy accents at this point. Like that technology, people still give it a lot of flack because we all remember the olden days where you would ask your phone or whatever to do something and it would not even get in the ballpark of what you said. But nowadays that technology is just pretty much integrated into a lot of people's everyday lives. I use OK Google and Cortana all the time for voice stuff in my day-to-day life, and they work fine 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So the biggest question of whether or not this technology will work is, one, how many sort of iterations are they planning? Because like Rage said, like if it just, if there's only like 2 options all the way, then that's only a couple times you can play the game, and then,
And
even
also
if it works
just-
perfectly, it'll get boring.
And also just,
Yeah.
how long are they planning on having this game?
Yeah, well, and 2, how good is their sort of interpretation engine for saying, for you being kind of a little flippant and it going, okay, what he's saying, fire the lasers, and that means attack the ships. What do you want to do? I'm firing my lasers. All right, we'll go get him, sir. So,
Kick on the
I think
jets after
I
Burst
think the-
Ignited.
let's kick the tires and light the fires. Launching.
Launching
but yeah.
nuclear missiles.
Depress-
No.
Depressurizing cockpit.
That's that's where I think most of the contention for this comes from. Since they're going purely voice, how well is their interpretation engine going to be? So,
I'm just imagining being like, punch it, Chewie, ejection seat enabled. What? No!
so this is kind of leading it to more general VR stuff. Another question I have about this is it going to be VR exclusive, or are they going to base most of the game around, check out our cool voice engine, and you can play it?
It seems
I
to
don't
be
know if
VR
this is-
exclusive.
I don't know though if this is
Everything
a
I've
game
seen.
that truly would benefit from VR. Like, to me, the more interesting part of this experience is testing out the new voice technology. Like, wow, this is, a step forward, or wow, this turned out to be hot garbage. Like, that's, to me, the most interesting bit. The VR bit for this still is not... Because my rule for VR is, I think this is Total Biscuit's rule too, is it's like, does this enhance the game in some way that pushing buttons does not? If so, great, go VR. If not, it's just a waste of time. And I don't know if this game actually benefits specifically from VR. And I don't know if a lot of games that have come out in the last year really benefit specifically from VR.
VR is still very
What
much
is-
a developing technology. A lot of the games I'm seeing coming out for VR still feel in that tech demo-esque area. Well, let's put it this way.
Well, it's gonna be because it's still new ground.
No. This ought to tell you just how far some games have to come. I was looking at review copies a week or two ago, and I see VR titles pop up every so often. One of them was boasting 20 minutes of gameplay. And I sat there and I looked at that and thought, that is something that you're actually fucking putting on your store page? Really?
Well, a lot of VR right now is kind of leaning towards like short-term experiences, though.
Yeah, I can understand to a degree because I don't think a lot of people want to sit with a VR headset on for hours on end, but at the same time, having so many games be essentially almost level of Wii shovelware.
Yeah,
it really is off-putting for me to even consider VR.
I don't look at the technology as being the problem. My issue with the problem of VR is the amount of people trying to just jump onto the bandwagon and just put out something, hoping that somebody's going to buy it, spend money on their product. That's where I kind of have the issue. I like the idea of like some of these mainstream studios that are putting out like some of the stuff that the actual companies are pushing as like initial release.
Like the PSVR?
Like PSVR. Well, I'm talking about like the games themselves. But
PSVR released, I think, with 20 games that were, for the most part, actual games, as opposed to, 5-minute experiences or whatever. I mean, there were a couple of those on there, but...
Like, the CCP with their E-Valkyrie, big companies that have been in from the ground up on some of these VR platforms and are building their game specifically for it in mind, type of thing. You're not like, I'm just going to program a game in 3D and I'm going to have like, Oculus support so you can look around in this thing that normally would just be something that you use on your PC type thing.
Yeah, which, to be honest, watching the videos for Starship Commander, that's kind of the vibe I got from hearing them talk about, being on the cutting edge of a new technology. It's like, my God, you're Peter Molyneux, you're Sean Murray, stop that, don't do that.
Starship Commander was the first game. I just said, like, does VR enhance the experience? But if they get this technology down and there becomes like a VR choose-your-own-adventure genre, that would get me into VR. I would totally do that. Because of story immersion, like, I'm a huge... And I know this isn't you typically, Rage, so I can understand if you think I'm crazy, but story immersion for me is huge. And, I'm looking at this like, well, would VR enhance the experience? But honestly, if it all works the way that it's supposed to, it would. And if this became a thing, that would get me into VR. Because I don't care to play other types of games in VR. I've had this conversation before. I tried Oculus, and I do understand that the technology has come away since the days of the DK1 and the DK2. But, I've played games in VR using those two headsets, and I just never really like, oh, that's neat. Okay, where's my monitor now? Plus, I live a life that's not conducive to VR gaming in general because, I've got a kid, I've got responsibilities, this is stuff that we talked about last time too. Like, that hasn't changed for me, so I can't go sit for 6 hours and play VR games. Well, I can, but then I'll get divorced, and I don't want to get divorced. I love my family, so... But, little short 2-hour experiences or, things like that, 2-hour choose-your-own adventures that you could play through multiple times to get different endings and things like that, and the story immersion would be huge for me. And that would be something that would sell me on a VR system.
I think a problem VR is going to run into, or at least the Vive, is that a lot of people don't have the room for the room-scale VR experiences that they're trying to push. That's going to be a huge problem for them.
Yeah, and I'm still not a fan of that because I'm lazy and I don't like to stand up while I play games.
See, and I'm like, my problem is I don't have the space for VR.
Yeah.
I don't. I was a big Kinect fan, and you guys are gonna be like,
I did enjoy the Kinect. No, I love the Kinect.
Okay.
Yeah, I know one of you was gonna do it.
I'm with you all the way, man. I love the Kinect.
I love the Kinect. We had a crap ton of fun playing that game. Playing games on Kinect. I remember when first getting it.
Just wondering, did you wave at Obama?
Do what? No, I remember Lexi wanted to play the Connectables game so bad, but she was tiny at the time. She was like 4 or 5, and she had such a hard time with Kinect being able to recognize a 5-year-old body doing the things that she was supposed to be doing. Like, she was just like, it was hilarious. Like, it's some of the crap that the animals were doing. She's like trying to tell it to do stuff or do the commands, and it just has no idea what she's doing. We'd play the bowling game on it, and like half the time she would just launch the ball up into the air, straight into the gutter. But she had fun. Yeah. It was a way to get the family involved into doing things. More so than like the Wii, where the Wii you just had the controllers just kind of flung around, and how long did that go from people standing up to just sitting on the couch going eh. But with the Kinect, you actually had to get up and do stuff.
I'm really sad that the Kinect flopped.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great piece of technology, especially the Kinect that released with the Xbox One. There was an article that kind of VR related that I'd put in the news that I saw. Audi was using the Kinect to create literal sandboxes. Like, they had sandboxes set up, and people could go and create their sandbox.
Oh, that's
and then they scanned it with a Kinect, because the Kinect has infrared and it's got like several different types of sensors on it, so it could actually properly map the terrain in the sandbox. And then you could drive then you could drive one of the new Audi cars in VR in your sandbox.
Well, the problem with the Kinect is the same one that's really being hit with VR in general, is that people are looking at this technology and they really have no idea what the hell to do with it game-wise.
Yeah.
You had the same problem with the Wii, the Wii U, and I think the Switch may have the same issue coming up. Outside of first-party games, these really niche and out there technologies, people don't know what to do with because they are pretty far away from the core gaming experience.
This is a question that just popped into my head. Have we had too much tech advancement in too short a period of time? Like, we went from, our character now has 64 polygons that make up their face, making it more lifelike than ever, to, oh my god, this is the whole universe and it looks like real in a decade or less. And that's, and like all of these crazy technologies are genuinely amazing, and some of them are better than others for sure, and some of them have still got a long ways to go, VR included in that discussion. But it's like, have we come too far too quickly for people to really adopt into these technologies?
Perhaps. That's actually a really good point. It takes time to really accept certain technologies into the way things are built. And to be honest, the standard controller hasn't changed too much. I mean, look at the PlayStation controller. The PlayStation controller hasn't really changed since the DualShock 1.
Oh, it's got a light on it now,
they changed,
and a touchscreen.
A light and a touchscreen, or a touchpad.
Neither has the Xbox controller. Just to briefly mention, the Xbox's 15-year anniversary is today as we record. And I was looking up some stuff about that in case we were going to make it a big topic, and since you brought this up, like, the Xbox controller has been the same for 13 of those 15 years.
Outside of the Xbox One controller that had the white and black buttons on it, and you had to have Shaquille O'Neal hands to use.
The Duke. I love the Duke. I miss the Duke. I've got really big hands. So I liked the Duke.
So, to answer your question, I want to say no on principle. But unfortunately, I think I'd have to kind of say yes as well. Because, I mean, you just look at how fast technology is progressing. We don't have time to really reflect on how awesome something is before the next great thing is coming out already. You know, you look at how much hype people have over individual video games, and then as soon as it doesn't live up, they're just latching onto something else. Cough, cough, No Man's Sky. You know, I mean, we're kind of, as a society, we're just kind of so quick to latch on to the next big thing that we can't really sit and appreciate what what's already being come out, or in the case of Starship Commander, you know, what this might become should this flop, but the technology still progress, what it might become, as opposed to, well, this thing sucks, let's just not do it anymore.
Yeah, and VR it's going to change the way we live our lives. And I don't know when I'm going to guesstimate 20 years. In 20 years, VR is going to have completely changed the way we live our lives, because, these virtual spaces might be or will be places where a portion of the population would much rather be than the actual real world for many, many reasons. And it's like, how do we deal with that? What do we do with that beyond just gaming?
Yeah.
But right now, the tech isn't there, and I'm sure some people are listening to me thinking I'm crazy, but that's just sociology, man. That's what I do. It's gonna happen.
You're crazy, but not for that reason.
Well, it's kind of a shame that the arcades had died out, because VR would be perfect for the arcades.
Yes.
Granted, I know that arcades are still a niche thing in the U.S., but it's really big in Japan, for example. Can you imagine proper VR setups in an arcade situation?
That would be blast.
It would be amazing, but there would just be no room for it. I mean, if you had a arcade that was like all, what's the one that has like the 2 or 3 sensors? Vive.
Yeah.
If you had an arcade that was just full of Vives, it would just be like a big empty room with like sections roped off. That is basically just like, don't go across this rope, otherwise you're going to interfere with the other person.
Well, I was thinking more of going way back to where we were talking about anime for a bit. The very stereotypical Japanese karaoke, where it's all individual rooms and you rent out a room.
They also could set up a thing with, like, for example, omnidirectional treadmills. You're getting into really expensive. You're getting into really expensive setups, but I mean, an arcade, economies of scale and all of that stuff. Like, I mean, they could set it up and charge, I don't know, ridiculous amounts of money, and people would go do it because it's like, wow, check out the novelty of this thing right now. Like, people would do it. But it is a big investment, and arcades are pretty niche. Even kind of the adult arcades of like Dave & Buster's and stuff, they're nowhere near as good as they used to be. So I think all of this together to say VR has grown on me a lot the last year. The PSVR, nowhere near as good in terms of graphics and frame rate and all of that jazz that you can get with an Oculus or a Vive. But I think PSVR was the first example of what mainstream VR can be, and they had a pretty good showing of it. And given another few years, when Microsoft eventually releases whatever their VR tech is going to be in a few years, and hopefully with some other big companies jumping in there to give it some more quote unquote first party support, I think VR is picking up. I think, like I said last time, I think in another year or two we'll start to see some stuff emerge that is makes the VR experience a lot more worth it to the general population who doesn't have tons of money to drop on it. Plus, the price of the technology will come down. The adoption rate will start to go up. And I think we're in kind of phase 1 of that. We're starting to see bits of technology and a game here and a game there that's more of a game as opposed to just a tech demo or a one-off experience. There's not tons of them, but there's a little bit sprinkled here and there. And we're starting to see that grow.
Yeah,
and in another year or two,
it's interesting to see where things are going. There hasn't been a system seller for me yet. There hasn't been something that's really grabbed me yet.
Yeah.
they've
I get
all still fallen into the gimmick area, the tech demo area. I want to be sold on it, but at the same time, I'm a hard sell to begin with. I'm very skeptical on these experiences. So maybe that's working against me on this point. I don't know. I will say that, this is a completely different conversation, but also going into augmented reality. That's something that we haven't really talked about all that much.
There's not a lot of it out there, though.
Yeah, you mentioned Microsoft's VR, but then that got me thinking about the HoloLens.
HoloLens, yeah.
And that's really about it, unless you want to count Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more augmented reality in things like automobile technology. Heads-up displays already exist in cars that, project your speed limit and for example, your GPS route onto the windshield in front of you as you drive, and you can see it. I think we'll start to see even more of that in automobile technology and, I don't know, public transport or a few other areas in kind of day-to-day life, and that's where that technology is going to go.
I'm kind of thinking that while VR is awesome, that I think AR is going to be where the hidden gem is. The augmented reality, where it's adding to, you crap on Pokemon Go, and it's not for everybody.
Pokemon Go is a collection treadmill. There's not much of a game there. But okay. I'm going to sell you on augmented reality. Your miniatures, your Star Wars miniatures.
Yes.
Actually shooting at one another.
I would be totally down for this. You're not leading me astray yet, so
no. That's where I'm thinking AR would really take off. Would be a tabletop.
Yeah, it would be
for
awesome
gaming wise, I should say.
To be able to
tabletop and card games and board games, that sort of thing.
Yeah, to have some sort of a in-computer RNG system where you're not. Well, I don't know. Part of the fun of tabletop is being able to roll dice yourself, but if you have some sort of a computer that as you set something up, it's it judges the angles and everything already and goes, okay, blah, blah, you rolled 86 and you only need to roll 50, so that the other ship's dead, kind of thing.
Well, I was going to say more able to do mechanics that really is tough to do without a computer.
Yeah.
We had Hearthstone on the topics list. Hearthstone has a lot of card mechanics that just are either impossible with a physical card game or are really difficult.
Yeah. You guys you're talking about Pokemon Go. I actually started to get back into Ingress this week. So, because I used to be big in that years ago, I started trying to work on that. I did one of the big multi-mission spanning things last week around here. It was 24 missions at 6 portals per mission. That took a good number of hours to complete, so I'm giving it a try. I like stuff like that, though. It actually gets you out and communicating and just working with other people. So
yeah. Okay. Does that kind of wrap up our VR and straying into AR discussion? Yeah. Quick final thought to sum up everything. We'll get one from everybody. I'll go first. If I had a PlayStation 4, I would have bought PSVR this year. And if this, with our current example, this Starship Commander game and some other games that really draw me into their world and our actual real games start coming out in the next year or two, I will buy a VR headset for my PC. I'm almost there. Almost. So, Rage, final thought?
The technology still has a long way to go on the adoption side of things, of the game developers actually knowing how to work with VR and to make it part of the gameplay instead of having it be an addition to. having it where it doesn't really add anything. You're just able to look around by turning your head instead of moving the mouse. It doesn't feel like it's made for VR just yet. There's still a long ways to go there, which maybe stems from the fact that they just haven't had the time with it. That said, I don't want VR to fail. I actually want it to succeed. It's just they haven't sold me on it yet. There's not a lot there yet.
Okay. Ghost, final thought?
I'm interested in it. If with time and space and all that stuff being an issue, I can't really get into, well, and money too, I can't really get into VR like I would like to. But it is definitely something that I'm interested in and I really hope succeeds. And if I had the opportunity to do so, I would buy into it and, do my part to make sure it doesn't fail. Because it is kind of it's a niche market, but could very easily grow and be, the future of gaming. And that would be sweet. And I'm done.
Okay. Well, let's move on from our Fonzie to the rest of our community corner. Thank you, Jim, for sending in an excellent topic for us to discuss. We welcome future stuff sent into the podcast. But now we'll move on to tweets and things. So, Rage, take it away.
Well, first we have the question of the week. Stemming from our GDC discussion, and, the GDC Awards, what do you consider the most innovative game released in 2016? And I kind of triggered Groove on this. He escaped from his crate and launched a barrage of tweets. A good one. First of all, I don't think that there was a lot of innovation in new games in 2016, except when you take into account how efficient that they were at taking your money, hype their games to or release in a broken state. However, as Factorio was officially released on Steam in 2016, beta, oh hey, I'm going to go for it, as I haven't seen a game comparable to it. Game mechanics are mostly well thought out, although a game needs some rebalancing, i.e. the ore path or patching sizes. It really brought out a new type of base building game.
Okay.
Kyle, Civ 6.
Of course.
Which I kind of want to disagree with him. Just, Civ 6 outside of the city building mechanic seems very derivative of the Civ series.
Yeah. I always like to ask you, and when Ghost gets back, I'll ask him too. What do you think is the most
I have one
game?
more here.
Oh, okay.
Chemist may remember from the VGL Awards. I have not played many recent games, but when it comes to most influential, I'll say No Man's Sky or Mighty Number 9, which, both of those are not good games.
Okay, so what do you think was the most innovative game released in 2016?
I kind of want to give it to No Man's Sky just for on the technology side of things.
Yeah. As much of a shitty game as No Man's Sky was, it is a huge kind of milestone from a technological perspective in what can be done with procedural generation and also what should not be done with procedural generation.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, No Man's Sky actually kind of did something good. Okay. Ghost is back, as he says in Skype chat. So, Ghost, most innovative game in 2016. We said No Man's Sky, mostly from a technical perspective. Even though the game was
mostly,
shit.
I would say completely.
Okay, yeah, fair point.
I
shit
would
game, but technical marvel.
I would tend to agree with that strictly on the technical aspect of it, because what they did was amazing, but it does fall flat in terms of, I can't say variety,
gameplay, art design.
Well, even art design. I mean, it was interesting that everything was procedurally generated. So supposedly, nothing was going to be the same. But when you're talking about like maybe.
Yeah, but there's only so many shades of blue a person.
Well,
can,
I was just gonna say
differentiate.
when there's like a one hex digit off on the color shade, that's not exactly what I would consider different. But it's a cool idea, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying with like Spaceship Commander. It's a good design, it's a good idea, and it may not work great the first time out. But it's something that shouldn't necessarily be poo-pooed completely and just the idea scrapped. Keep at it, and eventually you're going to have something really cool. Just not No Man's Sky.
Yeah, actually, no. I was about to say, wait a minute. Oh, there came an Echo, but that's 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Let me go ahead and move on, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick with No Man's Sky unless something else comes up, because I'm just gonna look at what the GDC nominees were.
Honestly, the nominees were crap because it was pretty much all random indie games.
I take it back. I'm gonna show my love. Overwatch.
Which Overwatch?
Because.
Where is that really innovative? Because it's pretty much outside of art style.
So the art
it's pretty much a standard walking simulator-esque game.
Overwatch?
Overwatch?
Sorry. I was thinking Firewatch.
You're thinking Firewatch
for a second.
Yeah.
Which Overwatch still, it's very derivative of Team Fortress 2.
I think Overwatch is very iterative, but not innovative.
It's not a derivative of Team Fortress 2 though. See,
it takes a lot from Team Fortress 2's style, or I should say class style, and made it more hero-based. It's essentially a mixture of a MOBA and Team Fortress 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Part of what gets me with Overwatch is the fact that it's kind of a perfect blend of a bunch of other ideas. And maybe that's not the most original, but the other thing is like the story behind it, for it being a game where you just pick somebody and charge at the enemy, and being kind of a tactical shooter like that, there is some amazing background story behind every character, and each person is connected to each other somehow or another. Some of the links we know, some of them we don't know yet, but as other characters come out, or as more maps come out, we learn more and more about who each character is.
Yeah, and once again, I can't help but think, wow, thinking back to the Team Fortress 2 comics that are actually still ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as a clone of Team Fortress 2.
I'm not calling it a clone. I'm just saying that for saying that it's the most innovative game in 2016, and I'm able to draw direct comparisons to another game.
I think technical-wise, No Man's Sky takes it, but as far as the all-around picture and like general success, you can't deny that Overwatch has been successful at hitting, firing on all
Blizzard
cylinders.
is able to really sell just about anything.
They've had some ups and downs, but yes, I mean, by and large, whatever they put out, it's going to be highly polished and very well received.
Unless it's the real money auction house in Diablo 3.
I think I'm going to change my answer to Clash Royale. I forgot that game came out in 2016. As far as I know, Clash Royale pretty much kicked off that entire sort of mobile genre.
I will say the one thing about Firewatch that you guys were talking about last week. One of the developers had a tweet rant on Twitter talking about how shitty some of their people were reviewing their product because of how short it was or whatever, and just the way that she had, I can't remember exactly what her rant was about now, but I just remember that at that time when she said it. It was so eloquently put about, hey, chill, because, we just put out our whole life's blood work for the last 2 years to put this out. And the way that she said it, I was like, you know what, that gets a sale for me. So I own it. I haven't played it yet. That's one of my potential streaming choices for down the road.
Alrighty then.
Which is, honestly is a little ironic. You buy it because they put their life's blood out for it, and you're going to rebroadcast it.
Well, yeah. I think
I know. It's.
I think the gist behind the rant.
A YouTuber talking about it, but still.
Well, I think the gist behind the rant was people were complaining that it was so short and trying to refund it, or trying to hurry up and finish it in those 2 hours and then refund it type thing.
Now that is shitty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a shitty thing for a person to do, but I mean, you do run the risk of doing that if you're on Steam, if your stuff is less than 2 hours long.
But I think it was kind of one of the things. It was like people were speedrunning it, or just being like, "Oh, this is crap. There's no substance to this game." Well, it's not supposed to be something that you just rush through. You're supposed to kind of like, it's an experience. It's not a run through and shoot everything up type game.
Yes, but what if that person wants their experience to be getting through it as fast as possible? Who are you to tell them what their experience is?
True, yeah. It's kind of the same
also
thing
part
that
of the
I
problem,
say about people with like Mass Effect 3, when people are like, "Oh, Mass Effect 3 sucked because the ending was crap." Well, depends on how much you put into it. If you put a lot of time and energy into it, you got a better ending. As far as storyline goes, any of the Mass Effect games were not the kind of games that really rewarded speed rushing through the game. It was kind of like, the more you do, the happier you'll be at the end.
Yeah.
Of course, I've always been that personality. I've always been that kind of guy. Like, I would take 30 minutes on a Doom level back in the day. Just to make sure absolutely every monster was killed, and I found every secret, and I picked up every power-up I could find. So I was always one of those slow, methodical kind of players, but...
I do think, though, if your whole experience for Firewatch is, I'm just going to play through this as fast as possible so I can refund it, you're a shitty person.
Yeah.
That's the type
Don't
of
be a
person that
jackass.
really shouldn't be playing Firewatch.
That's true.
It's true. And that's probably somebody that saw Firewatch being talked about and bought it, and it's not really the type of gamer that should be playing Firewatch, or that could appreciate Firewatch.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's move it on to the rest of the tweets.
Okay, let's see. Kyle built the crate in Minecraft. He did that while we were recording last week, and I just missed it because it was during our recording.
I got stuck in it.
Jim, I think I'm going to have to consult with Admiral Akbar on the strangely designed device. And Groove absolutely loved it and wants to hop into it.
Somebody, I think it was Kyle, ended up putting a pressure plate in it after I had seen it and was like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with this crate. You can just walk in and close the doors." Kyle went through and put a pressure plate in it, so as soon as I walked through it, just as out of a whim of like, "Ha ha ha," click, and all the doors closed. Like, oh shit. I hate you.
Let's see. Left Stick Down disagreed with the quality of Space Monkey I used to volunteer Jared for a trip in No Man's Sky. And that led to a rather wandering discussion. Kyle, while playing Civ 6, I had a computer Gandhi with the Hidden Tree Nuke Happy. It was wonderful. Okay, that's different how? Barney, which is Chemist's friend and a new listener, loving your podcast. Keep it up. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. At least I assume Barney is a sir. Or madam, if you're a madam.
Or that I'm not butchering the name. Let's see. Kyle started up a discussion on practical versus CGI effects in movies. Kim, whatever makes your movie not look like shit now and 10 years from now. Kyle agreed practical effects are better to act against as well. The thing is actually there. Jim, practical effects often hold up better over time, but good CGI can be just as good or better. I chimed in saying I prefer practical effects, but don't really mind either way. I just lean towards practical. And Groove agrees with me. Lord of the Rings with practical effects and some CGI, but not too much.
Matrix Reloaded,
Jared,
Neo versus Anderson, best scene ever. Not really.
It's cheesy as hell, but the music makes it.
Yeah, that I will agree to that. Yes.
I guess the real definitive question on this is CGI or puppet Yoda?
Oh God.
Puppet.
Neither.
I am a
They
Muppet
both kind of
fan.
suck.
I will defend Muppets.
We just need a real life Yoda, and then it'll be good.
There is something to be said for practical puppetry versus CGI. That CGI just can't quite match.
Yeah, but the puppet can't bounce around like a Mexican jumping bean.
Okay,
I actually really, really like to see Yoda fly around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I like that.
I kind of liked it too, but at the same time I was like, but that's not what we
Well, he's supposed to be so strong with the Force, you would think he would be using it more.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I like justify it as well. You know, he's old. He's not gonna really, be super spry and nimble all the time. But if he needs it, yeah, he can use it. So I don't know.
Yoda back hurt next day.
Yeah,
The last
Yoda was
two
feeling for the next
episodes
week after that.
The last 2 episodes of Clone Wars were the best Yoda ever. I
Yeah.
love that little adventure he takes.
He does make an appearance in Rebels, and it's kind of touching as well too. So
Did you read my tweet? Because I responded to that too.
I must have missed that.
I said CGI is much better in the moment. The wow factor is huge, but so far they don't really hold up well over time.
Oh, well, I didn't mark your tweet. I'm assuming that you would say it anyway.
Yeah, because Avatar, I loved going to see Avatar in the theaters, and even the first year or so after release, watching it on DVD. But I went back and watched it a couple 3 weeks ago. I'm like, God, everything looks weird because it's all that
and
whole,
blue.
Almost all of that movie is CG. Or the Matrix, particularly Matrix Reloaded, where they try to do those entire CG scenes. And I go back and watch it, and it's like, am I playing this on a PS2?
Exactly. That's the problem with it.
I mean, one day we'll get there where they'll be indistinguishable, but we've got to cross the uncanny valley first, build a bridge to the other side.
Nah, I gotta build a wall.
Let's move on.
What can I say? I love poking Jared with that.
Let's just move on.
Oh, I have way too much fun. If you wish to send in any emails with potential topics like we had this week, you can send it to vglpodcast@gmail.com or send us your tweets at VGL Podcast on Twitter. And that's where you can also find the question of the week, usually sometime late Friday.
Can I put in my little 2 cents for what I was going to put in on an audio letter? I honestly can't remember most of the rest of it, but one of the things that Jared was talking about kind of reminds me, or I had something about what Jared said yesterday or last week.
Okay, I guess.
I'll make it quick, I promise. And it's kind of just an incidental thing too. But you were talking about was it Robocraft, when you were talking about making side armor and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a striker.
Yeah.
Me being the former mechanic that I am, was like, no. So the Striker doesn't actually have wheel armor.
It has the cage, the
That's
RPG cage.
all around the body, but not around the wheels.
Is it not around the wheels?
It's not around the wheels.
I thought it was around the wheels.
The
okay.
whole point of it being an 8-wheeled tired vehicle was the fact that if it gets hit or it loses a tire or a suspension or whatever, there's still like 7 more to go to help keep it limping home.
Right.
But the cage stuff was just anti-RPG cage. It was it's when you see pictures of all that crazy side cage armor, all that's designed to do is to set off an RPG away from the armor.
Right.
Especially specifically like the armor piercing RPG, so that it doesn't actually hit and squish in and penetrate. It'll blow up and send the penetrator through the air to hit the armor, and then hopefully deflect and bounce off of the armor instead of just connect and slice through it.
So, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Okay.
the way that an RPG works is that there are 2 layers inside that form is the concave
It
shape
depends.
that directs a jet of molten metal or molten liquid into and through armor.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Some of the stuff that we went up against was just an explosive tip, and that was pretty much it. Nothing crazy. Those cages would stop that. What that was really designed for was the armor piercing, and a lot of the armor piercing RPGs that we went up against, they were like a tungsten core.
Okay.
So it was designed to hit and have so much momentum and power from the explosion behind it that it would just slice right, that high velocity tungsten would slice right through aluminum or sometimes steel. Because a lot of those tanks and stuff like that, the hull itself is made out of aluminum. Aluminum or a lightweight alloy type material. The steel is just like the side armor and stuff like that. But if you can punch through the steel, there's nothing to really stop heavy duty rounds.
Doesn't a lot of modern armor, isn't it reactive or ceramic plating?
Yeah, the Bradley used reactive armor, so if it hit and blew up, the armor panels would blow up back outwards and just negate the blast.
Right, but the problem with reactive armor is it's a one-shot deal, so if you get hit in the same spot twice, you don't have your reactive armor. Although that's pretty difficult to do.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but difficult.
Or in the case of one of our guys, my first deployment over, you have a fight with a dump truck a week before you get into a fight with an RPG and lose the first 3 armor panels on the side of your vehicle, and then happen to take one of those armor-piercing RPG rounds right to where there's no reactive armor. Yeah, luckily nobody was killed, but the AP core flew like right over the driver's kneecaps. He got all kinds of shrapnel on his leg.
I think I'd still be shitting myself to this very day.
Yeah.
Was this a unit you just worked on, or were you actually in the vehicle?
I was a mechanic for that company.
Okay, so you were just working on it, and it came back in.
It came back in. And there was a nice hole in the side, and the driver, the whole crew was gone. They towed it in. They medevaced them all out. But we're like, okay, well, first off, is anybody dead? And they're like, no. Okay, are they all okay? They're like, well, yeah, they'll be fine, hopefully. It's like, okay, cool. Well, we'll get this thing up and running again. And the funny thing was, it turns out this armor-piercing core, it punched through the driver's compartment, missed the driver, went into the engine compartment, bounced around a little bit inside of there, missed the engine by, an inch or two, didn't actually hit anything major except it, clipped a sensor and knocked the sensor loose. So we were able to, we're like, okay, well, there's a hole in the hull, so that thing's pretty much dead. If, this thing's not going to make it back home. It should be deadlined, and, that's the end of this guy. But we can at least use him for the end of our deployment as soon as we put armor back over where this thing was supposed to have armor.
Honestly, that shot sounds like a lot of my shots in World of Tanks.
Oh, it was freaking lucky as hell. I mean, it was like you got this big old giant vehicle with all these panels of reactive armor, and they're each like, I don't know, 12 to 14 inches wide, and it just happens to hit on like the 1 yard section of this giant, massive armored vehicle that didn't have any reactive armor on it. It's like, really, guys? You guys couldn't get any unluckier? So, but yeah, anyway, that was supposed to be a quick little, like, hey, here's some cool info, and then I got sidetracked and rambly, so...
It's my fault. I find this stuff fascinating.
Mhm.
I used to
That's
watch
why I
all
blame Jared
of
as well.
I used to watch all of those, modern military vehicle specials on, like, the Military Channel and the History Channel before, it turned into 24 Hours of Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
I used to watch all of those, so...
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I've seen any of them.
Yeah, I wonder if they've ever brought in a Hitler expert.
That would be
as another slight aside to that, the guy that, who is it, not Secretary of Defense, who is the general that Trump just hired recently on his cabinet? He's a former general. And it wasn't SecDef. It was National Security after Flynn.
Yeah, Flynn was who popped into my head, but I know that's not right.
It was the guy that came in after him.
It's just Google. I'm sure it'll...
I'm trying to look it up too. Here it is. This guy. Which I just clicked the picture and it doesn't actually show anything. Oh. McMaster. Okay. So I was wondering where his name sounded familiar from. You ever hear of the Battle of the 38th Parallel? It was
yes.
like the last great tank battle of the Gulf War. He was the company commander for that.
Oh, interesting.
So there's another useless trivia for you. Yeah, he was the commander of that battle, where basically the Iraqi army was just like, we're just going to drive towards the enemy, and we're going to drive over a berm that these guys can shoot at us from underneath, and think that's a really good idea.
I'm sure it turned out well.
Mm-hmm.
When all of the Abrams just wiped out all of the T90s,
T-52s,
T70s,
I think.
T72s.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be the even match for the Abrams, and they just got fucked.
Yeah, well, it was like a group of Bradley scouts realized that, oh shit, we're like right in the middle of an armored division type thing. And they called for support, and no, that's right. It was all Bradleys, I think, with a few Abrams. Welcome to the military trivia part of the podcast.
Welcome to the military portion of the podcast. That's what happens when you bring a retired army dude on here.
No, okay, not Battle of the 38th Parallel, because that's Korean War. Never mind.
Oh, okay. I know which battle you're talking about, though. Oh, my kid.
Sprung.
HR McMaster. Where was it? 73 Easting. He was captain commanding Eagle Troop of the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. During a battle, those significantly outnumbered and encountering the enemy by surprise, as McMaster's lead tank crested a dip in the terrain, the 9 tanks of Eagle Troop destroyed over 80 Iraqi Republican Guard tanks and other vehicles without loss. Due to the Abrams being the state-of-the-art armored technology, while the Iraqi equipment like outdated T-62s and T-72s of the Soviet era, as well as similarly dated Type 69 jet of Chinese manufacture. I remember watching the Military Channel special on that, and I remember I actually ended up meeting one of the guys that was in one of the Bradleys that, they drove into this area at night, not knowing that they were, driving right into one of the major encampments for the Iraqi Republican Guard. And when daylight came and they woke up and, look out of their tank like, oh shit, these aren't U.S. turrets in the foxholes. We're screwed. But then, like, just out of pure, well, we'll just go ahead and keep doing what we're doing, they managed to just outwit and annihilate the Iraqis.
I'm tempted to keep asking questions, but we really should move on.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about this and record some other time, because I do have some questions I'd like to ask you as a pseudo expert, since you were in the military, about some modern military stuff. But if we can do that another time.
Yeah, if I don't know the answer to it, I'll ask one of two. I'll ask you a question, whether you want me to douse you with bullshit or find the answer.
No, either find the answer or just be like, I don't know. And then we can move on.
Damn, I was gonna hope for bullshit.
No, that's what we usually have.
Maybe we can do that Saturday night after, or Saturday whenever we talk about Star Wars stuff. Then we can do that too, because that would be fun.
Absolutely.
Saturday-ish. Okay, but let's go ahead and move on for the sake of this podcast to Discovery Queue. So, Ghosts, have you listened to our most recent? I guess you have, because you said you listened to last week. So yeah, you know how to do Discovery Queue.
Yes, I'm bringing it up right now because I was a bit behind here.
Yeah, so the rules, which I don't know if you've ever discussed that before, but the rules are, if you see something that's like really interesting to you, or like looks like utter bullshit or whatever, then just call it out and we can all look at it and briefly mention it. And since you don't have access to the document, if you're like, man, this is awesome, I'd recommend it, just drop it in Skype chat and I'll put it over in our document.
Okay. Well, I'm looking. First is Mad Max, next is Smite, and neither one is no.
Right off the bat for me, I got Nier. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Automata or Automata.
Yeah, I got that exactly on my first one. I don't know anything about this game. The only thing I know about it is that someone photoshopped a asshole under the thong on one of the screenshots, and the internet lost their shit for a while.
I've been really interested in this game, like based on like the looks and kind of the story beats, but I mean, it doesn't come out for another couple of days, at least at time of recording. So
yeah, because they delayed it to add DRM.
Yeah, so I want to see, I'm interested in it, but obviously I'm not going to pre-order it because thou shalt not pre-order. But I am going to put it on the list because it seems it looks really interesting.
Go figure. One friend wants this game, one friend already owns this game. Jared Arthur and Caffeine Rage.
What is it?
Senran Kaguri Shinova.
Oh, Senran Kagura?
Yeah. It just looks like something up your alley.
It may be a review copy for me, if I have it.
Dead Rising and Hitman. No, stop. Come on. Why you do this?
Okay, I got one. Streets of Rogue. Have you seen this? It's essentially a roguelite using the old... well, they call it the GTA style, where it's essentially GTA of roguelite. It's interesting. It's a beat 'em up.
Does not sound like anything I'd like at all, but that's just me.
Okay.
Well, sorry, there's no half-naked anime chicks.
This one's going on a wish list just because of the art style.
What is it?
Night in the Woods.
Night in the Woods.
You won't like it. It's a side scroller.
Yeah, you're right. I won't like it.
But
that is an interesting art style, though.
And it looks like it's got all kinds of like weird mini games. Like there was like a Guitar Hero looking thing. There was a Mumbly Peg thing where like you're trying to stab each other in the hand.
No, I have Jared's game. Monster Monpiece. Collect and train over 100 monster girls.
Yes. Is that on my wish list already? I know that game from somewhere.
No, it's not on your wish list. Or it's about to be.
It is now. I've heard about this game from somewhere. Probably one of the podcasts I listen to. But yep, that's on my wish list now.
I mean, done well, it could be interesting. But the thing is that, it's right up Jared's alley. Here's a game that I thought I had on my wish list. I guess not. Galactic Junk League. Yes.
I hear laughter.
Styx, Shards of Darkness.
Oh, okay.
I saw that. I skipped over it.
Yeah, I did too.
It's a foul-mouthed goblin.
I didn't like the first Styx game.
Okay. I didn't know there was another one. This is the first time I've seen something like this, so...
I mean, it might be better. The first Styx game was just a bad game. Like, it was its best parts were just mediocre, and the rest of the game was just bad.
Oh, Honeycamp Studio. Nope. Next, moving on.
I already got that. And what game were you talking about, Rach? Because we kind of stopped to address Ghost's
Galactic
laughter.
Junk League. It's interesting, but it looks like it's a dead multiplayer game.
Okay.
A competitive free-to-play crafter, and there's a grand total of 86 people playing, with the today's peak being 210. It looks essentially like RoboCraft, only with a bit higher graphics.
Who said something about Monster Mon Piece a while ago?
Yeah.
Okay, I just got it too. And no. I have to pick and choose my anime stuff carefully, otherwise I'm going to be really screwed up.
Actually, I talked about Galactic Junk League a few weeks ago on the podcast. Actually, about a month ago now. Because I downloaded it and I was like, this game is bad.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks familiar, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah, I'm through my entire Discovery queue. I just had like a lot of mediocre trash. But that's the problem with mine, because I've reviewed like 10,000 games through Discovery queue, so...
Same thing with me. I'm done with mine. The only one I found interesting was Night in the Woods.
I must have Jared's Discovery queue. Train Sim World CSX Heavy Haul.
I don't have this version, but I do have...
This is the open world version of the train simulator games.
Yeah, I've got... There's a free upgrade that's coming that unlocks some bits of this, but you have to pay for it to get everything. I'm actually pretty interested in this. My kid loves the train simulator games, so... Because they're trains, and he likes to watch trains.
Yeah, I'm just on the last couple. Mostly negative on this one. And it doesn't look good. And once again... all-time peak of 10 players. Nobody playing it now. And I'm through my queue.
Okay.
I looked through my wish list, and first thing up was Anarcute, and I just looked at the video again. And I was like, "Aww."
Anarcute?
Yeah, I played that. I did a video on it, actually. It's not bad. The controls, if I recall correctly, were a little loose.
Yeah, it looks like it's one of them ones, like, it's designed to be kind of sketchy, control-wise, just for the fun of it. Yeah,
which could be a bit of an annoying thing.
Yeah. Okay, my Discovery queue is done. Like I said, Night in the Woods is about the only thing I saw worth mentioning. Non-ironically.
I saw a couple anime-ish games, but I couldn't tell what the hell they were.
Yep. Well, that's through my Discovery queue as well. So, Discovery queue done.
Yeah, that was quick.
The least productive week so far. But that's kind of you roll the dice with Discovery queue. So, it's all right. We're good for time. We're already over 3 hours. So,
barely on my timer.
I mean, we're gotta be at like at least 3:05.
3:01.
Did we really waste 15 minutes?
Yes.
We spent like 5 minutes pre-recording, and we took one little break.
Yes.
Whatever. We're over 3 hours. It's fine.
They're
getting their money's worth. We could be under 3 hours, and I'd be like, that's fine. Okie dokie.
You get 3 minutes. Oh, that's fine.
This is the part of the podcast where we talk about our stuff, and as always, I go first. So I have finished recording the Get to Know Me series that I'm going to be putting up next week. That is my intent. This weekend is probably when I'm going to go through and do all the final edits and rendering and all of that jazz. I'm quite pleased with how that series turned out. And we're going to be covering illustrious topics such as religion, politics, sex, a brief summary of modern psychology, and some other fun
just
little
who
things.
you would fuck and who you think would hurt you fucking you.
I might add that as an addendum. I'll go through my list. Like, do I really want to fuck this person, or would they hurt me? Sean Connery can't really hurt me. He's too old. But he's starting to get so old that I'm not sure I want to fuck him anymore. It's tough. Maybe if I just, like, close my eyes and have him talk to me the whole time.
Choices.
But so that's really the only thing I've been working on for my channel. I need to spend some time as well this weekend editing. I kind of took the weekend off last weekend, and every second I had free was spent, like, sleeping and playing games and jerking off, so...
Mostly listening to old James Bond movies.
Absolutely. So, this weekend I really need to do some work, so I'll put together some stuff, but the Get to Know You series is my top priority, and then after that it'll be Divinity. But we'll see exactly how far I get this weekend, and I'm sure I'll tweet about it. That's really all I got going on, so if you want to watch my YouTube stuff, you can do so by subscribing to Gaming Psychologist on YouTube. I actually picked up a few subs. I'm in the 90s now.
Oh, wow.
So, yay. Thank you, new subscribers. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, where you can see me tweet about all kinds of random things, sometimes political, sometimes not. I've had a few random conversations with, I almost said celebrities. They're not. They're just bigger YouTubers than me. Just because I've decided to start inserting myself into their world. And I got a few new followers this week, so on Twitter. So that's nice as well. And then if you want to watch me stream games on Twitch, I usually stream games twice a week. That's over at twitch.tv/jr34707. And if you want to be my friend on Steam, you can do so by sending a friend request to jr34707. As I always say, I accept all friend requests and talk to people who send them to me. And so far, everybody's been cool. Although I haven't had a new friend on Steam in a couple of weeks, so I don't think I'm friends with everybody who listens to the podcast to be my friend.
If you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from when you add them as your friend, and you will, the password for this week is plort.
Excellent.
I have raised the fist in
on this
the air,
episode.
sir.
Okay, Rach, what's going on for you this week?
Oh, well, I'm finishing up Grow Up this week, which means that I'll be recording Halo Combat Evolved for next week. Outside of that, really everything is in the middle of the series. The Video Original Sin is going to be ongoing for months and months and months. And RimWorld's still ongoing. Have at least a week's worth of content left for it before a reset. And I need to record some more this week. Outside of that, Sunday Sampler, random as always. I haven't chosen what I'm going to record for, or haven't really looked to see what I've gotten yet. And, well, that's really about it. Podcast appears there on Fridays as always. 3 Let's Play series. And if you wish to catch all that, it's over at Gaming with Caffeine Rage. And if you wish to catch me on Twitter, where I comment somewhat randomly on what I'm doing, you can find me over at Gaming with CR on Twitter.
Awesome. Ghost, do you have anything to plug?
No, nothing really to plug per se. I have broken one of the commandments, and I have pre-ordered Mass Effect Andromeda.
Spanking time.
And I plan on being an early adopter I plan on being an early adopter onto YouTube and starting to stream it if I, as soon as possibly can. So that might be my first entry, and it's gonna probably suck, but you know what? I don't care because it's Mass Effect. So, meh.
Doesn't matter, Jared. Fuck him.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm not, gonna rape you, but if you want to fuck, I'm down to fuck.
Can't rape the willing. Wait, what?
Sounds great.
No,
I promise I won't hurt you.
I pre-ordered for YouTube and streaming. That's kind of the exception to the rule to me.
Well, for me, it's Mass Effect. There's nothing that needs to be said. I am a huge Mass Effect nut, and I don't care. Yes, I am fully aware of it, and I admit my faults. That's like the first step of getting treatment, isn't it?
Admitting that you have a problem? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'm there. I just don't want to change. So I'm good with just staying at the first step, and that's it.
But you can change whenever you want to,
I can change it. I can stop anytime I want to. No, I do have kind of a call to action to anybody who wants to help me for the VGL crew. So here's the deal. I am planning on going to Gen Con this year. Again, this will be the third year in a row, finally. And I'm wanting to go to the North American Championships for X-Wing. That being said, I want to practice, and if anybody wants to help me practice on tabletop, I am more than willing to help show them the game and get some playtime in. So if anybody is willing to help with that, I would be much appreciated.
All right, everybody go learn how to play tabletop. Or not tabletop, X-Wing. On tabletop. Help Ghost.
So anybody in the VGL community, if they want to have some fun learning a new game and without doing what I've done and spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on miniatures, you have the entire collection right there on tabletop, and you don't have to pay a dime for it, except for what you paid for tabletop. So, unfortunately, me being the poor sap I am, I have sunk lots of money into this game, but I'm hoping to at least, not go 0-6 like I did last time I went to a tournament. Actually, last time was it was 1-3 because I sucked so badly I got the bye for the last round. So yeah, there's that.
Well, I think if we help, you have to help us. You need to wear a shirt with a QR code for VGL on it.
I am totally down for that.
You should do that. I was gonna say, when are you going? When is it?
It is late August. Well, middle of August.
Okay, we're gonna sit down and figure out some stuff between now and then that you should do.
Absolutely.
VGL wise, and report back and.
Going to start playing the Rocky theme 24/7.
Gotta get ready. Gotta train up.
Well, if the backup plan is if I can't get logged into the servers, because when events go live, it is ridiculous to try and get what you want. And I think
But if you try real hard, you get what you need.
Well, the X-Wing championships are limited like 250. 250 people out of there's usually 50,000 people that show up for the weekend. Not everybody's gonna be interested in X-Wing, obviously, but the queue, the way the system is set up, the queue for getting signed up for events, it's basically how quickly you can click on the submit button as soon as the timer kicks off. So I may or may not be able to get into the tournament. If I do, I'm going to be stoked about it. If not, then I may go with my backup plan and try to work with the True Dungeon people that I worked with last year and get my whole trip comped just for working there for the weekend. So, I don't know. One way or another, I'm going there. It's going to be my third year in a row. It's their 50th anniversary, so there's probably going to be some pretty cool stuff that had to be done there, so... Either way,
awesome.
If I get some X-Wing done, I'll be happy. X-Wing is life. X-Wing is fun. Oh, sorry.
We're going to have to make some posters or something to give to you.
Dude, I am down. Although I am going to be in costume at least 2 of the 4 days I'm looking at this year. One's my old...
Just get a Post-it note with a QR code sketched on it.
One's going to be my old Fallout costume, and if I can manage to swing it over the summer, I'm gonna try and build me a Kanan and Jarrus costume from Star Wars Rebels.
We'll put something together. We got a few months.
Oh yeah,
got a few months worth of Patreon money that we can put into something.
Oh my god.
Send you with it. Oh, that massive amount of Patreon money.
Oh yeah.
The literally dozens of dollars.
Sweet Patreon swag.
But hey, that's money from our lovely supporters. And don't think that I am making fun of you or your contributions. I'm very appreciative of them. Please don't stop giving us money.
Please.
You don't want to start paying for this out of pocket, do you?
No. Although I'll be more able to in a few months. Once everything gets all settled down. Because I'll be making more money.
Nice. But I'm done. I'm complete.
Rage carry us out. With your big strong arms.
Well, I have to remember, lift with the legs. Especially with you. Oof.
Wow.
Oh, I love you. That was good.
Well, I'm just going to skip the email on the Twitter since we did that really recently. If you wish to continue giving us money, even though Jared seems to be not that appreciative of it, you can do so over at patreon.com/VGL Podcast. Our RSS feed, if you're watching this on YouTube or has gotten this podcast from somewhere else, is at vglpodcast.podbean.com, which you could also catch us on YouTube if you aren't watching us there, or iTunes or Google Play or wherever we snuck in where other good podcasts happen to be. Our intro and outro music is On the Crowd by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work on Computech.com, and
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
see you next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.